Hey, back like cook crack in the Jan Sport backpack. We are here. We are here. Welcome back to the Coaches Huddle. It's your boy, the coach. And we are here with the Field Beats family. And don't look now. But we got a call-in show. We got to catch up. All right? We got to get back, regroup, circle the wagons. Coach has been gone for 3 weeks. Let me explain myself. I've been working, man. I got a job, bro. Things have been going off, man. It's all over the place. But I'm back. I'm here, right? And so much has been going on, right? The link is pinned in the chat. So if you want to come in here and talk, we can talk. But let's get into how I'm just going to give my assessment of the 49ers since I've been gone for about a month. Bravo! You can't ask for anything better. Debo! God. Get him out of here. Okay? I read the letter. I read what he said. A couple of excerpts were a little bit too much for me. If you saw me on the coaches meeting a couple of days ago, me and Kyle, we're tight. Nobody shares anything like me and him, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. He's my best friend. Like, come on, man. What are we doing? One thing that I did realize is that Deebo Samuel, he had a great career for us, had a lot of milestones, and I'm not mad at him. But a couple of things he revealed is the relationship between him and Kyle Shanahan a little too much. A little too much. And I think we're getting a response to how the organization feels. Okay? Mike Silver just recently has dropped a bombshell. Who the hell? Mike Silver has recently dropped a bombshell of an article, a 49ers organizational reset, why Jed York figures to make a more ruthless approach. Ruthless. And you're saying to yourself, pray tell, what do you mean by that? A couple of things that stuck out in this article is that Jed is tired of, quite frankly, losing his money. The 49ers lead the NFL in true money with $334 million on players in 2024. That's egregious for a 6-11 team. I love the fact that the organization is taking over the reins. There's a couple of excerpts in this article. I implore you to read it. Go to Mike Silver's Twitter account or his X account. You can find it there. As a matter of fact, not only can you find it there, but there's excerpts that he's put on his Twitter account that have been illuminating, to say the least. What I'll do right now is just share screen just to point out just a few of them. One thing that I also wanted to point out is that the Niners are really tightening the purse strings. You love to see it. You love to see it. So this is what we're going to do right here. Let's get into it. $120 million of owner Jed York's money hung in the balance, and Shanahan, fresh off of a heartbreaking overtime defeat in the Super Bowl, was desperate to spend it on a player he viewed as indispensable. In past years, as he decided whether to dole out a massive signing bonus to Purdy, Jed York might have been swayed by his coaches and GM's conviction. This time, I expect the owner to be as ruthless as they deem appropriate. The party's over. That's what this means to me. The party is over. They really pushed the envelope with how they wanted to get paid in the offseason. I think the first shot over the bow is not necessarily Deebo Samuel getting traded, because by all accounts, Deebo asked to get traded. He requested for the trade. That's the way they're choosing to tell the story. That's the way you have to believe it. But for me, it's the Jason Lockenfora report of 2 days ago that the 49ers have started out negotiations with Brock Purdy at $45 million. That's crazy. And you know what else? I love it. You know what else this is showing before I get Jonas in here? You know what else this is showing to me is that the Niners are not letting Kyle Shanahan off the hook. I knew you had it in you, Jed. Is Kyle Shanahan on the hot seat? Hell no, he's not on the hot seat. Why? You're the one who convinced me to pay these dudes. And now we got Brandon Aiyuk out for trade now, which I love again, which we're cleaning house. Rip the Band-Aid off and make Kyle coach his way out of this mess. If you believe in Kyle, you believe in Brock, well, damn it, you better pull out your rosary beads this season, because they going to need everything. Couple of Hail Marys, some holy water, a Lucky Charm, a rabbit's foot, because they going to have to coach and play their ass off this year. And bravo, Jed. Bravo. You made me sit here and watch this mess all season. Get it done. And you're not getting any more money. Make it happen. And on top of it, we're getting dudes out of here. You done played in my face for 9 years telling me who you need, exactly the specific players you have to get. And we've let perfect players go past us day in, year out. You gonna make this Brock Purdy thing work, not because of the money, because you duped me into trading 3 ones to get Trey Lance, and we let that go down. I love what the organization is doing. I love this. I love it. Let me get Jonas in here. Jonas, my guy, what's up?
What up, Coach? Can you hear me?
I got you, bro.
Yeah, Coach. I gotta say, man, it's actually good you've been away for a while, because you come back and I feel like shit breaks loose. Wait, are we allowed to say that on YouTube?
Yeah, you got this my channel, bro.
Okay.
Do your thing.
Okay. No, I just didn't know about it, because YouTube is a stickler about person. Even though this is not really good. Coach, I have so many thoughts, and I gotta start with this right here. As you know, I love Kyle as a coach. See, that's the operative word. As a coach, X's and O's, I love Kyle. Bro, this guy has been the GM. He's been the coach. He's been everything at this team for 9 years. It's about time. See, here's the thing. If he had won 3 Super Bowls in that time, let's say 2 Super Bowls, hell, even one, I'd be like, okay. Because it's like you've proven that your method to the madness works. But it hasn't worked. Coach, it's not just the contract. The trading up for people like Dante Pettis, people like Joe Williams, Ty Davis Price. I could keep going all day long. Do you really think this was done by scouts? This was done by John Lynch? We know who's done it because the fingerprints are all over it. It's Kyle.
All over it.
So, yeah. So, coach, what I want from this organization moving forward is the scouts do the drafting, the money people do the contracts. Kyle Shanahan does the coaching.
Does
Like
the
any
coaching.
other, yes, that's what it's gotta be. And you know what? I'm actually really glad that they are forcing him to clean up the mess. Imagine if they just traded him away, coach, for a first
Mm-hmm.
to another organization. They would get let him get off the hook and leave us in the mess with a random coach. Like
Yeah.
that's not what I want. I want him to show that he can actually clean up because, coach, this all started last, I think, minicamp. It wasn't
Mm-hmm.
Aiyuk. It was Christian McCaffrey. Oh, Christian McCaffrey is not a minicamp. Why? Oh, he wants not only he wants the raise, he wants his contract to be guaranteed. Coach,
Talk about
that
it.
was the first thing that showed the rest of the guys anyone can strong arm this organization.
Mm-hmm.
All you gotta do is call to Kyle. So the negotiators might tell you no, but Kyle is gonna say yes, and he's eventually in charge of everything. He's gonna give you the money. So when they give it to McCaffrey, Aiyuk and Trent Williams are looking at that and they're like, okay, you'll eventually give us what we want. So we're just gonna hold tight. But what I find so hilarious about the whole thing, coach, is that the one guy who has never complained, who has never done anything, actually the two guys, DeForest Buckner and Brock Purdy. Those are the two guys that the franchise is actually holding a line in negotiations with. Like I find that
Mm-hmm.
kind of ironic because DeForest Buckner was irreplaceable. We know that now. And Brock Purdy is the quarterback. It's actually two guys you should not really be doing this with, but those are the two guys that are actually bearing the brunt of this, while a lot of other guys did whatever they wanted and they got their money. Sorry if I went
Mm-hmm.
on a rant, but I just have
Nah, do
so
your
many thoughts
thing.
about this. Yeah.
No, okay. So this is what sticks out to me when it comes to the money. All right. So Kyle, I don't know when Kyle has ever shown backbone when it comes to the core players. All right. If anything, he's overpaid them. All right. And I'll tell you this. I think that Kyle has gotten a lot of leeway for being a genius at football, but mediocre at other parts of his job. And because he gets this genius tab, I think we tend to take the level of genius that he has at, let's say, designing plays, right? Kyle is a genius at designing plays. Kyle also has shown brilliant spurts of calling games, right? But that don't mean you are a great GM. That doesn't mean you know how to evaluate the best. That doesn't mean that you know how to pick in the draft. I think that Jed is doing the right thing. I'm happy. I am over the moon with this. And I love that because I'll tell you this. The reason why I don't think that Kyle should be on the hot seat is because if you put him on the hot seat, what happens is that he's a coach under duress. And now there's going to be somebody somewhere, as far as teams or some faction of the football world, that's going to shoot Kyle bail and say, man, what do you expect them to do, man? They came off a 6-11 season. You damn near got rid of over half the team. You got rid of some of his best practitioners on the offense. And then all of a sudden you're going to outwardly say that a coach, this is one thing that they love to do for coaches. They'll say, oh man, coach has been on the hot seat, just took you to a Super Bowl less than 2 seasons ago. They'll step over the 6-11 and the 4-4 and win and lose the seasons. But they'll go straight to the fact of his last success is like literally 5 minutes ago. So that's the biggest thing that I love about Jed not putting Kyle on the hot seat, because it's like, no, things are phenomenal. We believe. Okay? Now you go coach.
Yeah. Even coach, I even forgot signings like Jerick McKinnon, coach. Like there is so many things. Even Drake Jackson, coach. If you remember the press conference after that draft, Kyle Shanahan was talking like he was the one that picked him. He was like, I was the most impressed with his tape. So it's like, are you picking like I feel like he's been the one that's been orchestrating everything. And when you
Mm-hmm.
win, you get away with it. We know it's a results oriented business. Every business is results oriented. You get
Mm-hmm.
away with things that people might not really agree with when you're winning. But when you go 6-11, it's like, wait, the three guys you got me to give an extension to, or I mean, in two of those guys' cases, it was making the contracts guaranteed. But those three guys barely played all year, and the team crashed. So it's like your method is clearly not working, and we gotta really change things up. So I like that. I'm happy with that, and I just feel like it's like every someone said it. It was Bill Walsh that 10 years is a long time at one time at one place, and I agree. And I think it's going to be reflected in the contract Brock Purdy gets, coach. I think it's going to be a 3-year deal where there's or a 4-year deal where there's an out after 2 years. And what does that coincide with? That's going to coincide with Kyle Shanahan's 10th year in San Francisco, because this will be his 9th year, right?
Yeah, he's
And
going into
next year
year
will be
9.
his 10th. I think that they're going to give Brock Purdy as much guarantees tied to the coach's contract. That's what I think is going to happen.
Hey,
It's
man,
really, yeah.
they need to be in lockstep. But hey, I feel amazing about what's going on. Jonas, thank you so much for calling in. Dre, I'm about to get you up. Shills, and then Chunder Boy, you got to stop driving, bro. I'm not gonna get you up while you're driving. But hey,
Okay, thanks,
bro,
coach. Goodbye.
love you calling in. Hit me again, man.
Yeah, I'll call you near the draft because we
All
got
right.
a
Oh,
lot to talk
awesome. Oh
about.
yeah, we gonna talk draft. I got a lot to
Yeah,
talk about in
yeah.
the draft.
Cheers.
All right, Dre.
Coach, what
What's
up?
good, man? Talk to me. How do you feel about the direction? Should Kyle? I mean, from the reports, you get a guy as respected as Mike Silver. You got to think what he's talking. He's not talking out of school. So, are you okay with this? Is this what do you think?
I think, honestly, it's about time.
It's about time.
It's about time. Like, Jed should have been letting his nut take. Sorry, I don't know if I'm supposed to say that on the show.
Yeah, we got some kids listening, man. We got to be. You know what I'm saying? We got some kids listening.
He should have been let him loose.
Yeah.
Like you've been literally deferring every season to the same person, thinking that the answer is gonna pop up. Some magical answer. It's like Kyle don't know. Kyle know how to coach, bro. He don't. He was close. I'll say this: he was close to putting together a good team.
Okay.
But as far as not only keeping players, you keep players out of their age, like out of that age gap when you're supposed to get rid of them. Like right now, I'm gonna say it right now. I think we should trade Nick Bosa. He's over 30.
You know who I was arguing with about this?
Mm-hmm.
Grant. Grant thinks we should move on from Nick Bosa.
Yes, I think we should move on from Nick Bosa. It's time. Not only in age, we can get the value for him right now.
But
a year later.
Okay. All right. So look, we got to talk realistically about Nick Bosa. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So number one, if you're talking about trading Nick Bosa, okay. Now let's say we did that pre-June 1. Let's say we traded him in free agency or before the draft. Okay.
Yeah, I know that dead cap is crazy.
My man,
I know
$42 million cap hit. Okay. Yeah. Now, if we trade him post June 1, it's a $13 million cap hit.
But I don't know if they're gonna take that though because of the draft. They gonna want if you trade in Nick Bosa, you gotta do it before the draft. You got to.
Well, one thing that you gotta look at
of what you're gonna get back.
All right, but one thing that you got to look at too is that some things might just kind of already be out there. Like, look, now we already know that they're talking about trading Brandon Aiyuk, right? They're not opposed, right? If they trade Brandon Aiyuk, If they trade Brandon Aiyuk, they lose $18.4 million on the cap off rip. All right, they already got the post June 1 cap hit from Eric Armstead hitting this year. They already got the cap hit from Javon Hargraves hitting this year. I mean, Rip the Band-Aid off. If we're gonna
At that point,
now, what would suck about having a 6-11 season this year? The fact that we were 6-11 next year, right? Or let's say we're 8-9, whatever.
the fact that we
right?
were back to back 6-11, if we did it again, that's the only thing people would be mad at is the fact that it happened back to back, and it ain't.
But at least
back to back seasons since I think who was that other coach that was before?
Right, but hold on, but at least you pay me for my trouble. If I get the post June 1 cut hit, if I get the post June 1 hits from Eric Armstead, we already got to eat the money from. We would eat the money from Brandon Aiyuk if we trade him. Okay. Do we just take our lumps, or do we just try to look mediocre and keep kicking the can?
Can I be real? I don't see real value for trading for Brandon Aiyuk right now. There's no real value for it right now.
I can tell you the value.
Well, a third? A fourth?
No, I can tell you the value right now. If we don't get rid of Brandon Aiyuk in 2 years, his cap number is $42.2 million on the cap in 2027.
That's a lot of money. That's a lot of
He
money.
counts for 16.2 the year before, and next year he's going to count for 10.7 million against the cap.
Okay.
He's making 20.8 million next year in guaranteed salary. So, look, bro.
I get Jed wants to get some bread back. I get Jed want to get some money back. That's one you gonna have to eat because you already did it.
Let me ask you this. Is there a world where we trade Brandon Aiyuk and we don't care about the compensation because we're offloading the contract?
No, only because of what we went through.
Okay.
And you got to think about not his highlights as a Niner, but his story of being here. He is literally the underdog story of the Niners.
Dog.
He went to the doghouse. He had to grind his way from the bottom back to getting targets just to be at the end, be like, yo, I can do this. And then he finally got his money and got hurt. You can't. You got to give him some grace. You got to give him a little bit of grace, just a little bit.
I can't, bro. I can't. I get
the whole offseason was the whole offseason of him getting his money. It was a lot.
Yeah,
it was a lot. He was Diva Samuel.
Yeah, look, bro. I can't, man. Brandon, I understand the story and I get it, and these guys mean a lot to the the people in the building and all of that. And right now, with Brandon Aiyuk is healthy. If Brandon Aiyuk is healthy, do you keep him or do you trade him flat out?
Let me think. Overall production over the past years since he's joined, he's got 8,000. He touched 2,000, 1,000. I don't think he's done yet. I don't think I don't think his value stops here. It doesn't cap here. I don't think his value caps here.
Look, you think Brandon Aiyuk can get better?
Yes.
Okay, I'll give you that. I'm not here to argue with you. I'm just asking straight up and down questions. So are we pushing for? What are your expectations for next year? Overarching 10,000-foot view. Okay. Are we pushing for a Super Bowl?
This current season or the next
following season? This current season. Are we pushing for a Super Bowl? No. Are we pushing for the playoffs?
No.
Are we pushing for what do you expect us to do?
Wild card. But we're going back to 2012, 2011. Wild card spot, and then we fight for it.
Okay.
Like we did before, like literally the 2010s. That's what we did. We got a wild card and we fought for it.
All right, bro. So look, I'll tell you this: it's gonna be interesting to see. Dre, thank you for calling, man. We gonna get into it, and next time, bro, and stick with me for the draft, bro.
Of course. Hey, I'm gonna be back for the draft.
All right, brother.
All right, brother.
All right. The man with the plan. You ain't got on the Frank Lucas, do you? Shell's got on the Frank Lucas.
No, I got on the Jason Kelsey.
I ain't mad at you, bro.
Right.
Shoot, you got on the Victor Sweet.
I gotta tell you, I had to do I wasn't familiar with Paraag. Like I stopped really following the Niners like back in the '90s. It was just
okay,
just watching things a little bit here and there because life gets to you. So I didn't know who Paraag was. But his name came up last year with Aiyuk, and it came up this year with the whole Purdy situation, right?
Right.
So I decided to find out who is this dude. So basically, Paraag, I'm sure everyone knows the name, but he graduated from UC Berkeley in 1999. He went to work for Bain Capital, and Terry Donahoe took over for Bill Walsh as the GM. And Terry didn't know what he was doing as far as the draft goes. So he called up Bain, asked for some help. They sent in Paraag, and this is in 2001. So Paraag is literally 2 years out of college, coming to the 49ers, trying to help them develop analytics for the draft, right? The 2003 draft comes around. Bill Walsh is still there doing the draft. Him and John McVay. Paraag has the authority from the Yorks to override the draft decisions of Bill Walsh and McVay. And he does it repeatedly in 2003. At that point, that's when Bill and McVay say, we're out. When you look at all the coaches
Marcus.
that have been hired.
My bad.
Yeah, it's all good, bro.
Yeah.
By Niners since the Yorks took over, who was involved in selecting those coaches? Every single one of them. Paraag. Who was involved in selecting, I think probably by 2005, Paraag was deep into the selection of the GMs. So when you look at what's going on with the organization, Paraag Marathe, he's the guy. We're all looking at Kyle. Kyle's just the lightning rod because Jed and Paraag got tired of catching all the heat. And so they brought in dudes like Trent Baalke, and then after him, Kyle and John to take the shots. When you think about John Lynch and this whole, hey, we just spent all this money, the Yorks, they gave us everything we need. We spent all them, and they did everything they could, and all that. You know who said the exact same thing when he got fired? Trent Baalke. Not word for word. He's not as eloquent as John Lynch, but he had the exact same line that they got everything they needed financially to be successful on the football field. When you look at all the contract negotiations that have gone on, we talk about, Bosa, we talk about Debo. These wild contract negotiations go way back. Like the first one that I pulled up was for Crabtree. He just got drafted by the Niners. Paraag is kind of play hardball, so Crabtree holds out, doesn't sign until October of the year. Then you go to the next year. The 49ers do what we all wish they would do now. They draft 2 linemen in round 1. Those 2 guys, they hold out until right before training camp. One of them, Aiyuk, he stayed with the Niners through his rookie deal and then left in free agency.
Michael Potty.
If you can't keep a lineman that you brought in who has, at that time, 3 Pro Bowls, and you're not willing to pay that guy, you're not evaluating things right.
Right.
I think Anthony Smith was the other guy. He retired after his rookie deal. He was out. And when he retired, he had nothing but good things to say about John Harbaugh. He talked well of Chip Kelly as a person, said he didn't like the system, and came in hot on Jed and Baalke, saying that they were full of shit. So this whole thing that's going on, all these extended contract negotiations, all that, this goes way back. And who runs the contract negotiations? It's Paraag.
Paraag.
So when you think about this whole belt tightening situation, it would be good if you had an actual football organization making the decisions. Like if there was,
Okay.
because you come in, if we're gonna be real about it, like we come in, you have your end of year meetings. We're like, all right, well, give me back your your tablet, and we're gonna just hash things out about how the season went, and we're gonna let you know what's up. If we're being for real, like I'm gonna tell the vets, like, hey, you know what, we're gonna cut you. So get yourself ready for free agency. We appreciate what you did. We're out. I'm not gonna string you along and make you wait. I'm gonna let you know. And if I feel like, hey, you're essentially what we're trying to do, we get you signed right now. Why? Because if you don't do it early, right then, the market is going to shift. You don't know what's going to happen and all that. You're not able to really be responsible fiscally, and you're not really able to be responsible with your personnel.
Mm-hmm.
Paraag Marathe is a dude who never really had a job. He worked for 2 years for Bank Capital and then came to the 49ers and has been here ever since. He's never had a job outside the Niners, and he doesn't know shit about football. He doesn't understand people either. He treats everything like a business negotiation, and you're having people who are, however much we might want to feel like somebody's not a good football player, NFL-wise. In terms of broader view of football, these are all people who are at the top of the game. Like this is even the scrubbiest scrub in football. They're at the top of the game.
Yeah, it's a club.
Yeah, all their contracts are specific performance, meaning, hey, we have a contract, and it doesn't matter who is, what the materials are, who I get in to bring in to do the thing. That's a regular contract. Specific performance means you coach a subject matter expert here, and I need you to do this job, and nobody else can do this job that I'm hiring you to do.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're dealing with that kind of situation, considering all the things that go into actually kind of prepare for a football season, you don't have the luxury of driving everything up to, OTAs, the training camp, preseason, into the season. That's like a luxury you can't afford because you're having to get real people to perform at a superlative level to the best of their ability. Maybe they're not the best, but they have to do their absolute best. And it's not just a one person. You have to get that whole organization to function.
Mm-hmm.
And Paraag has been driving this whole train where he has these driving things where he's pushing things through OTAs, to camp, through preseason, even into the season when dudes are holding out like Crabtree did back in the day. So all the things that we're thinking are Kyle, that's Paraag. The draft picks, it's Paraag who has developed the analytics for how to develop, prospective players to draft. Those are his analytics. That's Paraag's methodology. He's the one drafting. And so what it looks like to me, that when you see the 49ers, they had a long string of misses, not just with Kyle, way before that. And actually, that reminds me of the Solomon Thomas draft miss. What happened with him? He didn't get his deal done right away. Like you would expect, hey, I'm a rookie. We're going to come and do this deal. The deal didn't get done right away. I don't know. I haven't talked to this guy. I wasn't able to find articles on the whole thing there. But if what Bosa's saying and what Debo's saying, how they were negatively impacted by the whole negotiating process with Paraag, what we saw with Brandon Aiyuk in terms of how he played last year, you can see he was negatively impacted. Paraag is a cancer in the organization. So
all right, okay. So look,
right now you might feel that they're tightening the strings. They are, but they're not going to go about it the right way, and it's going to have a lot of negative consequences for the organization in terms of football operations.
So I got some pushbacks because you've said a lot, and I thank you for that very succinct synopsis. However,
Sure.
I'm looking at the drafts that they've had since they've been here, and some of this stuff, Paraag is not trading 3 firsts to go up to go get Trey Lance. That's not Paraag. It's the very antithesis of everything you said about the man. So let's just take your modus operandi, your SOP that you've given Paraag, right? And let's reverse engineer it. So when we see erratic moves, just with one case set, let's just go with the draft. When we see these erratic moves, by your own words, by your own, let's say, criteria or compliance, we could say that that's not Paraag. So for the 2021 draft, trading 3 first to go up to get Trey Lance, could you say that that's Paraag?
I don't know.
Okay, I'll give you that. You can have that. All right.
No, and I'll tell you why I would say I don't know. Because there are several different things going on with the move to try to get a quarterback.
Right.
49ers have suffered for their inability to find a quarterback since Alex Smith. And then they got to Kaepernick. After Kaepernick, who did they get? They didn't have nothing. They had Dick at QB.
Shills, you trying to take me over the river and through the woods, baby. Let's keep the main thing the main thing. Let's keep the main thing the main thing.
Right.
I've let you cook. Now I'm shivering you over. I'm taking over the spoon.
Making Trey Lance, right?
Oh, I asked you a specific question, and you gave me a pamphlet. All I'm asking you is, does the move to go get Trey Lance, does that look like something Paraag would do?
No.
We'll leave that one in the parking lot. Let's move on to something else. All right. We got Nick Bosa at 2. Deebo Samuel at 36. We're going to 2019 draft. Jalen Hurd at 3. 2 wide receivers back to back and an edge. And then Mitch Wisnowski at 110. Those 4 picks, does that say that has Kyle written all over it? Nick Bosa is a slam dunk. You can pick that one. You can pick that one with your eyes closed. But 2 receivers back to back and a punter in the 4th round. Jake Moody, Exhibit A.
I can go with you on Trey Lance, but when you're talking about bad draft picks, I mean, I haven't gotten to look through all the drafts the 49ers have done, but what I can tell you is that they have had consistently poor drafting from the time the Yorks have taken over through the present. They've missed all the time because they have a system that Paraag developed. His analytic system for evaluating draft picks and deciding who to select when, whether or not a trade is advisable and all that is part of what Paraag does. It's part of what he put into the 49ers. Now,
the only reason why I'm giving you so much pushback, I'm sorry for jutting in, but the only reason why I'm giving you so much pushback is because I just don't think that's his job description. I really believe that Paraag's job description is to look at the numbers and the analytics posthumously, and then uses those analytics to figure out what he's going to forecast for a deal. But the actual scouting of the players, the actual picking of the draft, I believe that is between the scouting department, John Lynch, and Kyle Shanahan. I believe that to be true.
I'll email you the articles. He was specifically brought in to develop the draft analysis in 2001. That was why he was brought into the 49ers, to do that draft analytics. And he had interns coming in. I can't remember who the coach was back then, so my bad. But he hired a bunch of interns.
Hold on. When did we have Scott McCloughan here? When was Scott McCloughan here? Hold on. I'm pushing back, Shills. I'm pushing back. When was Scott McCloughan here? Because Scott was. I thought that was a Scott McCloughan job.
I am just telling you what the reporting was back in 2005, when from the San Francisco SF Gate, they have it up on the website. I'll send it to you because I was trying to find who Paraag was. So the information I'm giving you isn't just me like saying whatever. It's from the article sourced by reporters. So if the sourcing is bad, I can't say maybe it's bad sourcing. I'm just telling you what the article is saying he was doing at the 49ers organization, what role he played. That's all I'm trying to say.
Don't step back on me now, okay?
I'm stepping back on you.
All right, because Scott was with us in 2005, all
Right.
the way up to and Scott was with us from 2005 to 2002. He's with us for 4 years.
I am telling you what. This is what I'm saying.
You said 2001.
This is what I'm saying, Coach.
right.
Paraag Paraag's Ross. He's doing the thing, and they have somebody else there to say, "Hey, that's his job." And when you look at what happened when they brought Kyle in, there were a bunch of people who came in who weren't even willing to come in and interview because of how murky the power structure was. They reached out to Pete Carroll to come in. Pete Carroll said, "No, I'm cool, dog. I'm not coming." Josh McDaniels came in and interviewed, and he pulled out. There were a couple other people who pulled out. There are people who came in and interviewed for the GM position, or they simply refused to even consider the opportunity because of how things were structured. It has been a decades-long situation where Paraag is doing things outside of his job title. And he has the ear of John, Denise, and Jed.
This is my only thing is that, all right, I get you. You're coming up here. You're telling me that you've read some articles and this is what they've delineated. I get that.
Right.
My only thing is that it's hard for me to take that on because what does final say mean to you?
Final say means, hey, I got the last word. However,
and who is Kyle Shanahan juxtaposed to that quote?
I don't know. I have no idea. You have to let me know. Hit it.
He is the owner of that. He is the final say.
Right. That's what he said. That doesn't mean that is true.
So now there are a lot of implications that you have. So Paraag's draft analytics is what is driving the players.
I'm not saying it's driving. I'm not saying it is the only thing in the mix, because when I look at it and I see how horrible, like when they got here and they had the worst roster in football. When you have Paraag hitting the quote saying, "Your job isn't to get the best player." This is a quote from Paraag. Your job isn't to get the best player; it's to get the best player for the least amount of money. That's direct from Paraag. And that's, if you say, well, that's his contract negotiation, but it's sort of a blend of what he does in terms of identifying people and then paying them. That's what Paraag is out there doing. I'm just saying, that's what the reporting is, and that's what he's been brought in to do, and that's what he's done. And the fact that his actual role never really lined up with his job title has made it very difficult for anybody to hold him accountable, to anybody who actually has a particular job title to do their job. And like I was trying to say before, a minute ago, in terms of doing the film review on, prospective draft candidates, right? It wasn't doing that whole thing. Paraag brought in a bunch of interns. The coaches had no idea who they were or what they were doing. And Paraag developed his own little system of quote-unquote ticks for deciding, okay, well, how to evaluate and value a particular player that didn't necessarily reflect what they were going to actually be able to do in an organization on the football field. I'm just saying what was reported. It might not be true, but this is what they're putting out there. And so the coach that came right after Steve Mariucci, whose name I can't recall at the minute, he was walking down the hall seeing these interns. He had no idea who they were, what they were doing, what their role was, what their function was. Like he had no say in it whatsoever. No control over it. No idea who those people were. So the idea
Dennis Erickson.
Erickson, right?
Dennis Erickson.
Right. Okay. I wasn't sure, so I wasn't gonna say. But yeah. So that's what's going on with Dennis Erickson. He's like, what them doing over there? You have it getting to a point where Paraag is actually making in-game decisions, like telling Mike Singletary when to throw the challenge flags. Things like
Whoa, wait. Shills, you have said a lot. Are you now implicating that Paraag Marathe had direct? Come on, son. You telling me that Paraag was telling Mike Singletary what to do with players on the field?
Yes.
I don't know about that. I'm sorry. I cannot let this. I can't let this go down, bro.
I'll send you the article, dog. If the article's wrong, the article's wrong. I'm telling you what the reporting was.
Hold on. Do you mind if I look this up now? Because I don't want to put you on the spot, bro.
Sure. Go look it up.
Oh, man. Hold on. Wait a minute.
And I will take you so you can just, based off of that, just remember what Kyle Shanahan said at the presser after the Super Bowl loss about how they decided to go first after the coin toss based on analytics.
Okay.
This isn't reported. This is my speculation. So you can attack me on this one all you want. But when you take a look at the history of how Paraag has interjected himself and utilized these analytics to make in-game decisions previously with other head coaches, and then you have Kyle Shanahan, not mentioning Paraag's name, but saying, hey, we had our analytics, took a look at it, and they made the decision that going first was what we wanted to do. That right there is something that implicates Paraag as having not necessarily in the game in the Super Bowl, but having made the determination that they needed to go first if they want to toss in overtime in the Super Bowl. That's the implication there. In my opinion, that's my speculation. But look up the Singletary stuff. Look it up.
I'm looking it up. I think that sounds far-fetched, brother.
Hey,
you know what I'm saying?
I will send you the links to every single article that I'm talking about when I'm getting all this that I'm talking about right now. And one of the things that we've been, talking that you've mentioned before, that I can't remember what show it was, who you're talking with.
Okay.
But it was, are the Niners really about winning the Super Bowl, or are they about that money? Right. That was, something that going back. Are they just here, talking about quest for shit and just like giving us a line on that? Or are they really about it? Right?
Yeah. They going in on you in the chat, bro. They going in the chat.
I'm just telling you.
They fire you up in the chat, bro.
Hey, I can't see the chat, so I really don't care.
I feel you.
It's all good. I'm not tripping. But Steve Young, I don't have the quote in front of me, but he was talking about how they were doing the whole search after getting rid of Chip Kelly.
Okay.
Jed York came out and said, oh, yeah, he was asked about whether or not he was going to reach out to any 49er alumni to help in that whole search.
Okay.
And then KMBR, local station, they went and they asked Steve about it. And Steve's like, Steve doesn't talk at this, but he basically said, they asked me nothing. They never reached out to me. I never heard they reached out to me. Then I talked to somebody else. They didn't talk to me about any of this. So Jed's over here saying that they didn't reach out to alumni, but they don't reach out to Steve Young. Steve Young then has a quote in the article where he talks about that, that for him it makes sense because what people have to understand is that when the whole transition from Eddie to Denise occurred, there was a lot of acrimony that took place. And that as a result of that, there was sort of a desire to sort of, there's only been sort of a very ginger embracing of the Eddie DeBartolo years. And in the current York administration, they're trying to really separate themselves from that. They want to do things their way. And so that's what they're about.
Are you holding a pen?
Oh, yeah, no.
What? You're coming off like a conspiracy theorist right now. Hold on, wait a minute. Do you have like a whole wall of yarn strung against thumbtacks? Do you have like a map up? Like where? Hold on, wait a minute. Where are you reading this stuff? I would love to read the articles that you read.
These are these articles that we're looking at from like ESPN, from SFGate. There might have been another website, but those are the main places that I was reading the articles from.
Okay, because you hit me with some heavy hitting stuff. You're giving me like not data. You're giving me metadata. Like you're giving me like there was a feeling on Tuesday where there was a rift between these. I just would love to know where are you finding this information.
I just looked at Paraag Marathe's name and I was like, who's this new Paraag? And I just went down the Paraag Marathe's rabbit hole. I found one article on SFGate, and then from there it had a hyperlink to his name where it will pull up other articles referencing him. So I touched it, and I'm like, oh wow, this is all very interesting. This is very interesting information. And one of the things you talked about before was the whole Jim Tomsula thing, where they're like, the 49ers couldn't find anybody that got an insider, yada, yada, yada. Well, when I look at it, I'm like, okay, Tomsula came in right after they kicked Singletary out the door, had won a game, and then they brought in Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh does his thing, friction, gets fired. And then they bring in Jim Tomsula. The Mike Silver article that they just came out, and he very clearly states that the atmosphere is very much like what went on when Jim Harbaugh got fired.
Shills,
now
you are like the Eric Snowden of 49ers information, bro. You're the whistleblower, bro. It's you, Shill Snowden, right here. Like we could have used you during the election, bro. The FBI files don't got nothing on you. This is. Hey, Shills.
I told you I told you last time, how they're bringing Saleh to place Kyle. The situation parallels how they were doing Jim with Tomsula, and they have a backup in Gus Bradley. But I'll give you the good news. The organization has been able to ride players real hard and push these nonsense deals and allow Paraag to basically test dudes about, you're going to hold out? With NIL, players have money in their pocket, and they're not going to have to basically bend over for Paraag and his negotiating tactics. So as you start seeing more NIL money coming in with the players, being able to not have to put up with the nonsense, the Niners are going to have to start it, hopefully, knock on wood, either finally get rid of Paraag or start, utilizing some actual professional negotiating and football organizational methodologies. But there you go. That's why.
Hey, man, you know how it's all going to start, begin. You know how it's going to start, the middle, and the end, man. Look, Shills.
I'm telling you what happened in the past. I'm speculating what's happening in the future. That's all guesswork on my part. I'm just guessing about that. So I'm not saying that's the whoop-de-whoop. That's what's going to happen. But I'm telling you, based on the prior information about how the Yorks have done things, and how Paraag has done things through multiple coaches and multiple GMs, it's kind of looking like Kyle and John ain't going to be here much longer.
I'm fine with that.
I would be too, except for the fact that the main engine of all the turmoil in the Niners over the past 25 years is still going to be around, causing problems.
Right. Hey, so look, Shills, thank you for the call. It was illuminating. This was a call of all calls. All right. First of all, you're here to let us know how it all goes down. Please tap in again. Thank you for your time, brother. I'll see you around for the draft. Tap in. All right, my guy. Oh, my man. What's going on?
Coach, how are you, man?
I'm going good, man. What's going on, brother?
Look, man, you disappear for 2 weeks. We don't hear from you. No phone call, no writing. I don't know if you're alive. I don't know if you're lying in a ditch somewhere.
It's the
But
truth,
you're back
man.
now. You're
Hey,
back
look,
now.
I will never do that again. I got a good talking to from a lot of people in my emails. Some content creators sat me down and talked to me about it. Like, the difference is that I got to basically talk to you guys through the community posts. You know what I'm saying?
I'm just
So
kidding, man. You
get
got
things.
your life.
We're good.
Honestly, I was just happy. You're happy, so that means family's well. Hannibal's well.
Yes.
That's all that counts.
Yes.
That's all that counts.
Yes. Talk to me, man. How do you feel, man?
Well, I listened to the Coaches Huddle yesterday with Grant, and you guys just like, there was a lot of things you hit up on that was just spot on. It's nothing new. This is a lot going on. But I'm not interested in this chill really kind of. I was wanting to talk about Paraag a little bit. I don't know all this stuff he knows. I don't know where he's getting this stuff. But
hey, man, he's got the article of all articles.
no, I'm telling you,
He got to send me that stuff.
I used to get my information. I used to be on that daily back in the late 90s and early 2000s. I never gotten any of those articles.
He hit us with the Scully and Mulder. Like, he was on it.
Right.
Go ahead.
So where do we start? I think so. Yeah, in terms of, it's what you guys discussed yesterday. Definitely the Yorks. And look, I'm not a fan of the Yorks. I don't like him. I feel like, Denise like finagled the team away from Eddie when he was down, gave it to her like ding dong like husband, which I have no interest in.
Right.
Now her like, ding dong like, but whatever. They're the owners. We can't fire them.
They got it.
So be it.
Yeah.
So be it. So be it.
It's America.
Yeah, that's America, man. Billionaires get what they want. Anyway.
Yeah.
So in terms of that, so yeah, it's not just that they're just trying to save their money bottom line, which I'm sure they are. They don't want to just give away money. The team's like going down a very bad path. They're going down into very poor cap management. They have been for a while. And I think that's a lot of what they're doing. They're saying, hey, I don't want to just pay for money for nothing. And we're going to be in trouble in a few years. We won't be able to field a team if this goes the way it's going. So let's give them a little credit that it's not just about their own money and buying a Scottish football team. They're also trying to keep the team competitive in the near future.
I'm so glad you mentioned that.
Like cap space for over nothing. That being said, going to Paraag, this is what's interesting to me. And what I in the past, I was like, like chill, and a lot of people like, frustrated with Paraag and talking a lot of crap about him. But I realized when he came into the organization, he came in, I think Walsh actually handpicked him and brought him into the organization during like, GM 2.0, that period after, whenever it was. When was it when Walsh came back? It was like 99?
99.
When was it?
99.
Yeah, so 99, after Carmen Policy and Dwight Clark were just screwed the fucking team up. They just destroyed the cap. They were just throwing money at everyone and anyone trying to repeat, the Super Bowl. Remember?
They just had money to blow. They were throwing money at everybody.
Everybody. And the team became Antonia Langham. Remember Antonia Langham?
Jesus.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
But I think that's what Walsh's vision was. He came in, he realized in this new era that, the salary cap's operative. It's a whole different era of running a football team. And I think he brought Paraag in. And Paraag was a young guy. And it wasn't necessarily he brought him in and gave him all the power. But he knew the organization needed a number person in addition to like a football person to kind of run the draft and run the roster and run the trades and free agency and all of that. So that was a brilliant move on Walsh's part. Think about that. In 2000, he had the vision to do that. In 2000, he knew that the new era, the salary cap era, is a different era than when he was back here in the 80s. And I think that's who Paraag is. I don't know much about him, but he's been around for a while. And I don't think he has anything to do with football decisions. I think for him, it's purely financials. It's like, look, if you guys are going to do this, that's what's going to happen. Do you want to spend this much on free agency? Well, these are going to be implications down the road, If you want this player now, you're not going to have this player next year. You bring in Kevin Green, well, Stubblefield has to go. What do you want? Who do you want? You make the choice. I'm telling you what it is right now. I think that's his role. And I think it's time for him to and I think he's been sidelined in the last few years because, Kyle is the emperor of the organization or has been. And it's time for him to come back in. It's time for him to have a big role in the organization again. I know it's frustrating for us, with the negotiations and whatnot. But, that's where it is, I think. What do you think?
One thing that I would like to get into is Paraag is not just emblematic of, sometimes untimely contract negotiations, undercutting players. One thing that he is that he kind of brought us into the 21st century when it came to kind of stepping out of this nepotism, like this kind of like super friendly, we pay our guys because we love their names era of football. I think that I'm not a huge friend of Jed. I'm not a huge fan of Jed York, but I do respect the man. And I did respect when he brought up the fact that, you guys compare me to Eddie D a lot, but Eddie D didn't have a salary cap. You know what I'm saying? Like he didn't have to deal with he didn't have to deal with this type of environment the way we did. And for what it's worth, what you really got to give Jed credit for is that even though he still is dealing with the team with the salary cap, he's paying out the nose. He's putting his money where his mouth is. So it's not even as if he doesn't pay when he doesn't believe, right? If you show him something that gives him proof of concept, he's going to pay. My biggest thing is that I feel as though the organization, now, yes, there are some elements of what Shills was saying that are true. We could snatch the pendulum so far to the opposite direction that we get stuck in another extreme, right? So we could come to the point now where we're like North Korea. It's like Pyongyang, nothing moves, right? We squeeze the eagle until it screams. Like no, we've got to be able to show balance. One thing that I am looking at is that all of this stuff has been about Kyle for so long. But the truth is that we can pick our coaches, but we can't pick our owner.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And I am here for the growth of Jed. Right. Even if we've got to outlive regimes, if we got to see, all right, if you look at it, Jed was on one side of the pendulum with Coach Harbaugh where it was very contentious, right? It was outside looking in. This is not your credit. You're here to just sign the checks. And Jed didn't like it. He pushed back a lot. And then I believe that a lot of what led itself to the toxicity between Coach Harbaugh and Jed was Trent Baalke. I believe that Trent Baalke could have smoothed a lot of stuff over between the both of them. But because he stood to gain from the division between Jed York and Harbaugh, he wanted to be the SME, the subject matter expert, to be able to get into Jed's ear to talk to him about football. He was supposed to be Jed's guy. What happened is that Coach Harbaugh came in here and showed a completely different element on how to get this thing done. And Trent was intimidated. I would too. I'd be intimidated by Coach Harbaugh too.
He's
a very hard guy to deal with.
But it was a bad decision. You should have probably stuck with Harbaugh. But that's all. And I agree with you. I think especially now with what seems to be happening now, that they're kind of getting control out of like Kyle's hands, putting him in the coach role, and bringing it back into the organization, whether that goes into like Lynch's hands or whoever. I'm starting to get a little more respect for Jed. So good. This is the path.
Yes.
It should have never been like it's been. But okay, it's okay. We've had a couple of almost, Super Bowls, so that's fine.
Dude, it's just football, bro. You know what I mean? Like, this is just a microcosm for life. Whatever. It's, better late than never, but like, what is late and what is never? Football's going to be here before we were here. It's going to be here when we leave. So, and Jed's not going to be here forever. So really, this is just us riding out an experience, right? This is just our saga and seeing Jed go from like a young boy, quite frankly, a young man, right? And growing into an adult owner into now, hopefully we see Jed taking over the team as a real owner. Because
so the other thing you guys talked about yesterday was the whole business about how, the relationships that Kyle builds with players, how cozy he gets with them, the whole Cabo clique, sitting in a beach somewhere with like 5 of your players. No. You don't do that shit. You want to take your whole team?
Take the whole team.
Beautiful.
Yep.
Go sit around and like have drinks with like, a Trent and a this and a that. No, that is just wrong to the core. And it rubbed me the wrong way really badly when it happened. We've been talking about it, but I don't think we made enough hay about it as a fan base. It's like, what the hell are you doing, man? What are you doing? That's no way to run a team. That's not the role of a coach. Like you said, be friends with them after the fact. Walsh wanted to be friends with his buddy. Do you think Walsh didn't want to have drinks with Ronnie and all these guys? No. He, and in his book and in his documentaries, he very much says that. It's really hard, keeping a distance with these guys.
It sucks. They're cool guys.
You have to do it.
When I coached, I wanted to be cool with these dudes. You know what I mean? Like, especially, I coached young. So I had just got finished playing. So as far as we were kind of all into the same stuff when I coached. And it's hard, but you cannot break that barrier, because what's going to happen is that shit is going to come up when it matters most. I'm telling you.
Practice, like gross malpractice. With that being said, I got to tell you, we've as a fan base, we've given Brandon a lot of shit because of the way those negotiations went. But I got to tell you, man, I think we're here today because of what Brandon did. I think Brandon's issue wasn't just money. It was more like, look, mofo, I get out there, I do all the hard work, I block, I mentor the guys, and then you're like, Debo's buddy? When it came to negotiations, he put his foot on the throat. He was and that's exactly what I would do. I've been in those situations. You know what? The practice I was with, they ended up paying me a lot of money because of it,
I'm going to be real with you.
When I saw I could get at them, I got at them.
I got at them.
I'm not a vengeful guy, but that kind of stuff.
It's business. I got to be real with you. Okay. So yes, in the perfect world, this is all the Niners' fault. And this is why. Before we even get to BA, they should have paid his ass the $26 million after the season ended, when he wanted 26 and they offered him 22, and then the freaking market blew up in their face.
Yeah.
So that's full stop. You're the organization, you screwed that up. However, let's move on. I ain't mad at BA. When you think about, okay, I'm inside of an organization and this shit is clicked up. You know what I mean? And I ain't on the in crowd. And I know it. Not only that, but it's not the fact that I noticed that I'm not on the in crowd, but there are perks and disadvantages to not being in the in crowd, right? And I ain't talking about no damn Cabo. All right? I'm talking about money where it counts. I'm talking about off days on practice. I'm talking about being out of shape and still getting the benefit of the doubt. I'm talking about having the offense curated for you no matter what type of performance you have. I'm talking about being protected in the media no matter what you do. I mean, there's a lot that comes with the Cabo click now. There's a lot that comes with the Cabo click. And when you think about it, if I'm on the outside of that and I was put in what you call the doghouse, do you understand? It's one thing to put up with discipline. Discipline is hard, but it's a whole different ball game when you're putting up with discipline that you know is pointed, where it's like, this shit ain't real. Like, this ain't, like, everybody's not doing this. Everybody is not being put through the same level of scrutiny the way I am right now. And I'm going to keep my mouth shut about it, because right now I'm being gaslit into being a pro. Remember that? Yeah. BA needs to learn how to be a pro. BA needs to learn how to practice like a pro. BA came in his rookie year and it was COVID and he got more snaps than usually rookies get. So he had to be kind of tamped down a little bit. All of that on top of the fact that your pet and Debo Samuel, your pet on the team is underperforming and we play the same position. I'm a direct reflection into what he's not doing, and you not trying to pay me? On top of the fact that that dude gave you his ass to kiss. What we know now from the Mike Silver report that just came out a couple of days ago is that Kyle and John flew out to go see Debo to implore him to come back to the Niners, and he told them no. And then went online and asked for a trade.
So that being said, I'm not opposed to a Brandon trade. He's got injured, and it's a tough world, and that's it. He'll land on his feet somewhere. But he did us a big favor with that shenanigans he pulled. We wouldn't be here today.
He exposed a lot. He did.
It would be like business as usual. Yeah, Kyle's genius. Let him keep making decisions. So we'll see how it goes. What do you think is going to happen in terms of now? What do you think?
I think that BA gets traded. I think that
We'll see.
I think who's waiting in the weeds is the Steelers. I know the Patriots are chomping, but I think the Steelers really wanted him in the worst way. And they didn't want him as a one. They were trying to get it done by keeping George Pickens as well. Yeah. So I don't know.
Whoever trades for him right now, whatever they give up, a big chunk of his like kind of signing bonus has already been paid by the 49ers. So, they could come in, they could restructure his deal, and, give him a little bit more money up front, but not like a huge money up front. And they'll be good to go. It's not the money. I think that should be workable. But BA aside, what do you think about going forward? Do you think, assuming that, Kyle's role with the organization becomes tenuous, do you think John Lynch is a person worth keeping around? Do you think his role as whatever he is, like a general manager-ish kind of general manager that he is something that's worth keeping around?
No. They came together, they leave together. I'm not trying to split them up now all of a sudden. We ain't about to do this for parts. If Kyle goes, John goes with him. And the reason why is they got to own a lot of things, right? One thing that they got to own is the Javon Hargrave pickup. The free agency pickups of us kind of reaching, that's on John. Us sleeping at the wheel with these contracts. I understand that Paraag is the numbers guy, but being able to get this thing rolled out to the end, one thing that it shows is that at best, John couldn't get the deal done, and it shows a pattern of an abuse of your high-profile players, a lack of respect that they have for the process. At worst, Paraag Marathe is really running the numbers, and you're just sitting around with your hands in your pockets. So, you know what I'm saying? I'm kind of over the face of John, right? Like John's kind of like the face of the team. They put him out front. He's a figurehead. And I get all that. That matters. But I'm over the shtick. It's like we need to see exactly what needs to go. If Kyle goes, John's got to go. That's how I feel.
Yeah, it's interesting. In some way, I feel like there's a role for him, and I don't know why. I haven't been a huge fan of his either, but maybe a team president. He just does a good job. He's a good face for the organization.
He is. He's a great face.
Very diplomatic guy. I think within the organization, also, when you have a John around, a thing like a Balky and Harbaugh won't happen. He'll diffuse that. He'll get in there, and he's got the gravitas and probably the management skills. I think he studied some management or something, right? Did he?
Well, yeah. If you put it like that, out of the GM role, definitely. President role, I don't know. He has worth, tons of it, right? So I'm not here to say that he's not useful, but when it comes, let me put it like this: it's hard for me to differentiate what exactly you do when your head coach is your boss.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because the first thing that we would have to do is kind of like change the ROE. The rules of engagement is that the GM delineates to the head coach. Like it's top down, not the other way around.
That's got to change. That's just been ridiculous how it's been. Every time
it's got to change.
Press conference and he looks over at Kyle. If you'll have me, what the hell are you talking about?
Yo, like the Howie Roseman is not like Nick Sirianni isn't going to Howie Roseman and telling him what he wants. Like it ain't happening that way. So
it's collaborative, but it's all upside down here. Okay, two quick things before I got to get out of here. My wife's
bro.
Drag me out by the ear here. One quick question about the draft. What did you think of the offensive lineman Banks? You thought he was more of a guard than a tackle?
Yes, I think Kelvin Banks is a guard. One thing I will say about him is that he's very athletic, but he's a waist bender. I don't see a lot of, and he doesn't cover a lot of surface area for me as far as like being a tackle. He's lunges a lot. He uses his body in like a more visceral way as far as he kind of attaches his hips away from defenders, always lunging at guys. I think that would be a nightmare at tackle. There's going to be a lot of fast edges out there that are going to be able to get around him, get him with inside moves. He's a very athletic offensive lineman. I just see him as a guard.
First round, right?
Say that again.
Do you like Campbell, or even he's kind of marginal, like blue chip?
I like Will Campbell. The only thing about him is that, people are saying they don't care about his arms, but those arms are short. Will Campbell to me is going to be an amazing guard, but at tackle he's going to be rough for him. But he's 6'6", so he's got length. My can't miss tackles are Mimbu out of Missouri, Arianti Ersiri out of Minnesota. I love him.
You see Bambo's a tackle. You don't think a lot of people are saying he's a guard too?
Armand Mimbu is a freaking dog at tackle. I think he is going to be amazing.
He might be around.
You know who else is kind of like a Trent Williams clone?
Who?
You want to look at Trent Williams in college? Go look at Josh Connerly out of Oregon.
Interesting.
Very fast. You know how Trent pulls out the table in front. He's fast enough to move his feet back to take leverage away from defenders. He does all of that. Pulls the table from the front. Very fast, quick feet. He's got skill player level foot quickness.
Speaking of Trent, man, I don't know what we're going to get out of that guy. I mean, he's going to show up. He's going to come and collect his check. He's not going to leave any money on the table. But, Trent is still, he's a silverback. I don't think this may be the year that, he finally falters. I don't know. We'll see. But I'm worried about that.
It's time. It's time. And, Trent's one of those guys where you're never going to see him just get beat. You know what I mean? You're never going to see him just look horrible for a game. And Trent's one of those guys where it's like either I look like Trent or I'm not playing. Right? So you're never going to catch Trent. Like it's like LeBron. We're never going to see LeBron average 16. Right? Like the moment LeBron stopped averaging 20 or 25 or 22, it's like, all right, I'm hanging it up. I'm not coming off the bench.
The year that it starts showing that, So
exactly.
Hopefully not, but
he's got to be in shape. Horrible. That's a big thing. They got to be in shape this year. He was out of shape. You can't be that big and that old. I'm big and old, so I can say it, but you can't be that big and that old and come into camp late and expect to go up against these young boys. It ain't gonna happen. It's biology. You can't do it.
All right, final thing, Coach. So let's get some other people get on there. You coming out for a game next season?
Yes.
You know yet, or you're still figuring out?
I don't know exactly what game I'm coming to, but for sure I'm coming out to a game this season, and I'm coming out for camp.
Excellent. You should make some time, kind of come down here to the peninsula, Monterey, where I live. I'll show you around, man.
Dude, you know what? We gonna talk, man. We gonna talk.
Lady. It's a really nice place. It's beautiful. It's like south of France, but
we gonna. You know what? I'm gonna talk to my girl. Probably. Hey, baby, we got a little invite, babe. We gonna go down there, boo. So yeah, awesome. we gonna come down, man.
Final thing, have you read Walsh's book, the Cutting Edge, Winning the Cutting Edge?
No. I'm about to get that right now.
No, it's out of print, man. This is yours.
No.
For you.
Asa, you never find a way, man. You never find a way. Turn off, man. Like you just. All right, brother. I'll talk to you, man. Get out of here, bro.
Take care, man.
You're the worst. I'll talk to you. Love you, man. Hey, let's go through some super chats real quick before we get these guys up here. Frank, you're up. Then we're going to go with Warren. Then Chunder, you're going to close us out. Sean 999, thank you, brother. Even if what Shills says was true when Paraag got hired 20 years ago, it doesn't mean that it's still his job currently. Job descriptions change, just like Kyle's just changed this all season. That's an amazing point. I think that Shills, here goes Shills, coach, just sent you the 2005 Paraag interview. I'm about to look at that right now. Because for those of you who are just chiming in, we had a caller, my man Franco Shields. All right. He came up here and gave me an article kind of giving us his view on Paraag's true involvement into the organization. And there was a couple of things that we went through when me and Shields spoke. And one of them was that Paraag had quite an involvement into the football team as far as having input on field decisions with Mike Singletary, having a draft algorithm that basically has been used since he has been here in 2001, explaining a lot of the irregularities with our draft, all but giving Kyle Shanahan a free pass. That's the only thing that pissed me off. So we got to look at some of these articles. Who is Paraag Marathe? Kyle's on the hot seat. Steve Young on yours rejected 1980. Contract abuse is going back to Crabtree. All right, we're gonna look at this later. It's gonna be enough for me to kind of like pour through this. But I'm gonna look exactly where he was looking at this stuff. But before we go, let's get into some more super chats and just finish this up. Frisco Shows 199 sent you the articles quoting Steve Young. I will read that. Thank you for. All right, Frisco. Article on Paraag and Crabtree rookies deal. Definitely. Manhattan John, 1999. Thank you. Given the holes the Niners have on both sides of the ball, is it a better strategy to prioritize Salah and the defense in the draft and free agency, or give priority to Kyle and the offense? I think we're going to end up prioritizing. Prioritizing Coach Salah anyway, Matt. John. I think that this is a very, very deep defensive tackle and defensive line draft. I think this is also a deep guard draft and tackle draft, right? Right now, I think we should be, not even should. Let's look at it this way. What contingencies would you need if you were Robert Saleh to come back to the 49ers? Right? One of them would be that, hey, we need to go get some of the guys that I know. And as far as the draft is concerned, I got dibs on first round pick. We got to go defense on this draft. You know, one thing that we also heard over the offseason is that Coach Saleh wants speed. He wants speed on our defense. It's what they had in New York. It's exactly how he ran his own defense when he had a chance to as the head coach. And that's what he wants to bring here. He's been named as not just the defensive coordinator, but the head coach of the defense. I don't know. When you're a head coach of something, you kind of got a little bit more leeway. I think that him being able to come in and actually call his shots, and on top of it, he's got a little bit more cachet. He's not just some guy working with what the team gives him. I've said this, Coach Saleh is going to be one of the hottest head coaching candidates next year. All right. And it's imperative and it's important for him to make sure that he has one little cup of coffee and a sweet bun with us to make sure that we see that we show that, right? So he can stay as hot as he needs to be for coaching viability. So I think that we prioritize a lot on the defense. And then last point that I'll make about this, come on, man. It's always been the defense. As good as we've always been, no matter what Super Bowl team we've had, no matter what NFC championship team we've had, we ain't got there without a good defense, at least a top 3 defense. So Kyle hasn't shown me that we can be a Super Bowl team with the offense leading the show. So it's going to be defense. Ace at $20. Cut off. I'm out of here. My guy. Hey, let's go ahead and get Frank up here. Then we got Warren and then Chunda's up. Let's go, bro. Oh, my. What you in here with this Duke mess on, Frank? You know my boy from Vietnam. He ain't no Duke fan, man. What's going on with all of the Duke stuff, bruh?
Listen. Born and bred in North Carolina, hometown near Durham. It's Duke Day. Tonight, the Tar Heel season ends tonight. So,
y'all playing them tonight?
Hour and a half. I'm going to the sports bar down the road and talk my trash. So representing for the Duke Blue Devils, Niners, and the Fayetteville State, your future coaching job. By the way, I got money in the budget for you to coach. So come on back, buddy.
Okay. Oh, what you trying to get me to coach?
Yeah, of course. I made some phone calls and we got money in the budget. So come on back. Come on back, buddy.
Hey man, they still trying to get me to coach. Every time I turn around, I'm getting asked to come in and just help out. You know what it is? Just help out for a couple of times, man. Just help out. Like, yeah, all right, bro. I know what y'all want me to do. Y'all want me to take over that O-line. I ain't doing it.
But you have a gift. That's your calling. Come on, man. Come on home.
They gotta gift this. They gotta gift that bread, man.
We got it. But I got a question for you. Last year, I noticed a couple of things as far as Kyle Shanahan. And I've noticed for a couple of years, but last year, it really showed itself. His body language on the sideline, as far as when things don't go well, as far as facial expression, body language. Do you think that, along with other things over this offseason, can improve in order for him to fulfill, I believe, his destiny to being a Super Bowl winning coach?
I don't think that Kyle can win here. I think he's got to go. I think he got to go somewhere else. I know that's going to hurt you. I'm not out on Kyle being a Super Bowl winning head coach. I'm not. Right. But I'm going to tell you, sometimes you just need a new voice. If he wins it here, I'll say this. If Kyle wins a Super Bowl here, everything they said about him is true. Because what he's trying to do is extremely hard. He's going on 9 years being here. He's been to the Super Bowl twice, 2 NFC Championship games. He's been through
I think four.
Yeah. 4. Yeah. How many quarterbacks has he been through? 6?
At least.
He had at least 6 starters. All right. Then he finally found his last guy, went 6-11, turned over his whole roster, kept on the old pre-existing players, got new guys, and then went to the mountaintop again. I don't know anybody that's done that. I don't know anybody who's done that.
My thing is, as far as Kyle Shanahan, and I called your show towards the end of last year, maybe early this year, and I compared Kyle Shanahan to Andy Reid. And my thing is, if we fire him next year or 2 years from now without a Super Bowl championship, his next job is going to be like the light bulb goes off and everything falls into play. And we're going to be like, damn, that should have been us. But I don't know. It's like, for me, it's a hate love. Sometimes I can't stand this guy, but then sometimes it's like he calls a game and it's like, I get it. I see why he is the son of Mike Shanahan, the prodigy, and so forth. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I see what you mean by him moving on and possibly watching him win somewhere else, and I get it. But one thing that I love about this is that even if whatever Kyle is, I like the fact that the organization is taking over the wheels. Like, look, we gave him 9 years. We gave him 8, really. We gave you 8 years to do it your way. We stayed out of the way, sung your praises, let you trade for guys, trade up for guys, mortgage our future, put us in cap purgatory. We got void years out the wazoo, bro. Like, the void years are all of the years that we have to pay these guys after they're gone and their contracts are out because of how we kick their contracts down the road. And I understand. I see Chunder Boy. I can hear him right now. Oh, but once the cap goes up down the line, it's going to be able to offset all of those void years. So really, if the 49ers are playing with a cushion, they got to keep their cushion. Like, I already know what he's going to say. You know what I'm saying?
A bad contract is a bad contract.
Hello.
So, yeah. So, yeah. No. And I believe right now, what's happening now in San Francisco should have been done 2 years ago. If it had been done 2 years ago, I believe next year, Levi Stadium, Super Bowl Sunday, we would be there. But now,
let me put it like this. Let me say this. It's not about Kyle's not he's not some bad luck case. All right. He's not like a victim of the worst luck in NFL history.
Right.
Kyle's problems are well documented. And his biggest issue, we could talk about end games and not adjusting and all of that, but the facts are the facts. You can't be no cop and be afraid to shoot a gun. And you can't be no head coach and an offensive coordinator and not know how to develop quarterbacks. And that's the number one thing that Kyle has to show that he can do. Can you develop a quarterback? And can you develop that quarterback to the point where you can let go of your offense and be a head coach? Because that's what Andy Reid's doing. That's what all of the coaches that are winning Super Bowls are doing. That's what Nick Sirianni is doing, okay? He is coaching the Eagles. He's not has his head buried in a play sheet, holding down Jalen Hurts to make sure that he doesn't touch any part of the offense that he doesn't want him near. The biggest issue with Kyle Shanahan is that he is like he's running the Tour de France with training wheels. You got to take off the training wheels, bro.
Yeah.
You gotta show us that you can coach a quarterback, and one of the biggest hallmarks of knowing that you have developed a quarterback is when you can give him the offense and step back. Kyle has yet to show he could do that.
Agreed. And that's the biggest, one of my biggest concerns with Kyle Shanahan and so forth. So hopefully, maybe, fingers crossed, this offseason, this season of reckoning, a comeuppance, reality sets in, some changes to be made, and then we'll see where we'll go from there. I want to go back to, I saw your show with Greg earlier this week as far as players you were discussing, as far as players who are untouchable or can go. To me, I think Niners have two guys who I believe could be in the ballpark of untouchable, Kittle and Warner. Why? Yeah. Because they show up every year, company guys, but also they produce every year Pro Bowl, and we already know Hall of Fame. That's a done deal. You know what I'm saying? So to me, the two guys who I wouldn't think about trading would be Warner first because he's younger, and then George Kittle. Everybody else can get it.
I'm 100% in agreement with you. Yep, 100% in agreement with you. There's only two guys that I would not move on from. I mean, Demo is kind of getting into that area for me, but as far as like the core, the guys that actually would like strike assets, Fred Warner and George Kittle. Everybody else is at large for me. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Agree. And so for me, it's kind of like watching it last year. Warner, hurt, healthy. He produces at a high level, smart, intuitive, instincts, all the things you want in a linebacker. He's that and then some. And he's still, I don't think if he is in his 30s, he's 30 on the dot, but I think he's less than 30. So, I'm not trading him. Now, Bosa, deuces. If someone calls and gives us, let's say, a first and a second, or a first 2 seconds, I'll take that deal. I would take that deal.
Wow, okay. Hey, look, that's crazy. All right, so look, hey, man, what do you got for the draft coming up, man? I'm about to get Warren up here.
Draft. Here's the thing. If we can't get a guy that's on one of our lists, for me, I would say trade down. Now, again, this year's draft, quarterback sucks. Wide receiver sucks. Running back, they're a dime a dozen. For me, it would be like D-line and offensive line. If we can't get the guy that's number one or number two as offensive lineman, personally, I say we trade down, get more second, thirds, and fourths, and build the draft that way. Get younger, athletic, and less money.
Yeah. For me, I just want us to go ahead and get as much lineman as possible. We're not physical. We're not a physical team. You know,
at that point of attack, we suck.
Yeah. So look, and I understand this. Like, there's a couple of things that was said in the chat. I'm gonna answer you guys. Look,
please do.
One, why is everybody trying to get rid of the whole team? It's not the whole team, but this is what has happened for the 49ers. What has happened is the inmates are running the asylum. And exactly. I'm going to explain. The reason why you bring in drafted players and you bring in young guys is so you can keep competition for the guys that you say are your best of the best guys, i.e. our core. The problem is that as time has gone on, we have been doing more to preserve this core than to actually challenge this core. Okay? Agreed. So what has happened now is that while we have been preserving the core, we have been saying it so much for so long that when it was time for us to go build more and put more into the team, the core said, no, I want more money. I don't care about the team. I want to get paid because we just went to the Super Bowl and we didn't win, but I'm the core. So I want to get paid. And what happened is that everybody smiled and let it happen. And guess what? They laid an egg. They went 6-11. They didn't come in shape. They didn't finish the season. Some of these guys underperformed. Debo played himself off the team. Okay? So now, if you're Jed York and you have put 334 real dollars, not the cap, this is money out of my own bank account. When I pay this shit, I get a notice on my phone. Blue, blue, blue. Okay, I paid somebody. Yes, it is time to move on because guess what? The core is only as good as the league says they are. And right now, the league says that the core is 6-11.
Exactly.
So we got to handle business.
Exactly. For too long, the inmates have run the yard. And that's the problem.
Come on, man. It's too much. They got to go. What they did over the summer, not being, and you know what? And I'm chilling on Christian because this injury was way too extensive for it to just pop up before the season.
He knew.
Come on, man.
He fleeced us. He fleeced Kyle. Kyle being weak, like I said before, being weak, and then again, Christian knew, and again, Christian McCaffrey, salute. If you can do it, hey, I ain't mad at you. It's just, hey.
It's the game. Do what you got to do. But,
that's what I'm saying.
But don't be mad when it's my turn.
Exactly.
When it's my turn. Hey, you can play. Hey, you know what? You had us leverage. Hey, Trent, we had one of the best offensive line drafts as far as prospects are concerned. This is probably the deepest draft in the past 20 years. And they didn't pick up a tackle? If I'm Trent Williams, I ain't mad at you. Go at him. I need my money.
You got him.
I need my money. But not with you not finishing the whole year, though.
Yeah.
Now, come on now.
And that's why I'm glad to see what's happening now. And for me, BA, out of here. Now, who gets him? I wouldn't take. I mean, personally, if I'm like Pittsburgh, whatever, they're talking about Brandon Aiyuk, I wouldn't take him because of the knee injury. I think it was the ACL, MCL, PCL. I think or two of those things. So for me, that's a big red flag. But if someone takes him, even if, let's say, for example, someone takes him and we don't get any picks back, for me, it's one of those things for like a divorce. Peace of mind is worth more than anything else. So take the contract, no picks back, okay, or they give us like a 5th round, 4th round pick. You know what? Thank you. God bless. Take them out of here.
Yeah, when it comes to BA, it ain't even about the compensation. I just want to get rid of the deal.
Yeah.
I'm just keeping it tall with you. I can't have that deal, bro. Yeah, I wish him the best, but you could be a comeback story on somebody else's roster. We got to move on.
Exactly. Hey, Coach, I got to go, but hey, I sent you an email. I'm going to be in the DMV next weekend. I'm on vacation. So I sent you an email yesterday.
We going to rock, bro. I'm going to email you, bro.
Salute.
Holla at you. Warren.
What's up?
On a mission trying to find Mr. Warren G. What's good, brother?
Man, keep preaching what you preached on just about a few minutes ago, man. You were preaching.
Hey, they did it to themselves, bruh. They did it to themselves. And I get it. The organization, they okay, you know what? I said this. I went to go see the boys play. When's the last time I seen them play in person? I think I went and saw them play last year. They came to DC. They played the Commanders. That's the last time I seen them play. And I was close. I was very close. I was like two rows off the sideline. And the fans, I love the faithful.
Yeah.
But the adoration was boy band like. It wasn't like they were fans of a team. It felt like they were fans of a music group. Like the way they were fawning over these dudes, where it wasn't even about football. It wasn't even about like whether they win or lose today. They just wanted to see them. I just want to be able to touch Nick Bosa. And like that energy is why this team why that core has been preserved for so long. I understand that they got some good guys, man. I get it. But time moves on. And it's time for us to move on.
This ain't the 80s, the 90s, 49ers.
Yeah, it is what it is, bro. The 1099ers.
Yeah, these 2000, I think just Debo himself, just Debo and Aiyuk, they just prima donnas, and I like, man, I understand Debo. You know what I'm saying? He wanted to get out. He should have been out since last year. They should have got something better for him, but they want second, third, first round pick for him. But you gotta look at it like this: move on from the contract, so you good. You know what I'm saying? You could start rebuilding, start putting new juices into the team. And Kyle Shanahan, he got too close to the players, and that's just too much for the 49ers to bear for, you know what I'm saying? That's why I think we haven't. The office is going to be the office, and coaching, you just do the coaching.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what it is right now, you know what I'm saying? Because too much downfall because, you know what I'm saying, we were friends, we could be friends, you know, okay, but when I need you to perform and you ain't performing on the field and you slacking on me, I didn't get at you. And you know, Kyle Shanahan, he never got at Debo for some odd reason. I would have been some if he slacking on routes and stuff like that. I would have been some, put somebody else in. And you know, you want to make new headway. Say, hey, it's what it is.
It is what it is, Warren.
Yeah.
So, hey, tell me how you feel about the draft coming up, man.
Oh man, I don't know too many players, but I just think it's what I've been hearing, but it's a deep O line, deep defensive line. They could have got the O line last year, but they went wide receiver. Hell,
but we still got O line this year, though. Like there is O line this year. I know that we got O line last year. We got Dominic Pooney. We found ourselves a starting right guard. I know we wanted to get it in one fell swoop. I understand, but we actually helped our secondary with Malik Mustafa, Renardo Green. Awesome picks coming in to help us out. But there's trenches in this year's draft.
Right. Well, there's another safety, though.
Yeah.
Somebody pass. Free safety, pretty much a ball hawk, something on the end. You know what I'm saying?
And you know what's crazy? What's crazy is that it's really hard because safeties really don't come in like dime a dozen. But I'm going to tell you this right now. On my board, I got 7 safeties that should be drafted all before the third round or within the third round. You got Malachi Starks out of Georgia, 6'1", 205. You got Nick Emewarmi, big safety out of South Carolina. I think he may get drafted in the first round, bro. All right. Xavier Watts out of Notre Dame, crazy. Kevin Winston Jr. out of Penn State, 6'2", 208, thumper. My pick, Andrew Makuba out of Texas, 5'11", 195, 4-3 burner. Okay. Malachi Moore out of Alabama is another good guy that we get. So there are a lot of safeties that I would not, every safety that I just named, I would not have a problem with on taking. And all 5 safeties I just named are better than the free safety we have right now.
Do we have a free safety, Dan? That's a question.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's an even better question.
It look like we got strong safety and we're trying to play free safety.
I know, but you know, Huff. I don't think we signed Huff. I think Huff is gone. I think I don't think we retain Huff. But I don't know. This is if Dre Greenlaw gets a multi-year deal somewhere else. I mean, right now, I think Dre. They're trying to give him a prove it deal. I don't think he needs to prove anything. I think this is kind of a please stay deal. But I don't know if the Niners keep him or not for 1 year. They definitely don't have the money to go multi-year right now. But this is kind of like the new game now. Now that we're seeing how the 49ers as an organization seem to be taking over a little bit more reign of the purse strings as far as who gets contracts, who moves on, and especially how they utilize their money and their cap in free agency, there still is going to have to be communication on a guy where, hey, you're going to have to spend a little bit more money. Is the organization willing to listen to the coaching staff when they're like, hey, I know we've lost a lot of, well wishes and credit. All right. We've kind of worn out our welcome, but hey, this guy, Dre, we got to pay him. Right. If you and that's my biggest fear is that I don't want the pendulum to swing so far to the other direction that we're just not spending money and just underpaying guys and not giving guys their worth. Like, I don't want that either. right?
Right.
So ideally, what you would like is a balance of the two, where you can have an open discussion about getting a guy like Dre Greenlaw in. You know, it's kind of like, I feel like Paraag Marathe is coming in like Doge right now, and like we just got to calibrate this thing. All right,
Right.
no failed swoops.
They should gave Dre Greenlaw a multi-year deal on his last deal. You know what I'm saying? Gave him a 2-year extension, but he the heartbeat of defense. But,
Yeah.
hey, but it is what it is. But I can't picture Dre Greenlaw with somebody else, man. He's a good man. He one of the best linebackers out there.
Yeah, Dre's a dog, man, definitely. But hey, man, I'm gonna get Chunder Boy up here, bro. Rock with me for the draft, man.
Gotcha.
Holla at you, bro.
All right.
I'm gonna get Chris in here, then we're gonna get Chunder Boy up. Chris!
Ooh, I was waiting to get in here.
Let's go.
Coach, I just want
Let's
to
go.
let you know I've been watching you for a long time. And as
Okay.
a fellow lineman guy, I can relate to the live stream because what you see, I'll be seeing. It's a little delayed, but I'm with you. I'm with you, dog.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
You gotta watch the game for the trenches, bruh.
Yes, definitely. I see it and I'll be like, yo, coach about to wild out in like 2 seconds. And coach, trust me, I'll be venting right with you, brother.
Hey, man.
Right with you.
This season, man, was a whirlwind, brother. But you know what it is that you see it week in and week out. And, you know, I looked at all of the live streams, and I guess one of the things that just kind of I could not let it go was the lack of physicality. Like, I could not let it go. It just, I got used to the slow starts. After a while, you get used to it, right? It's almost like playing on a bad team. It's like shocking all like the first 3 weeks. You're like, damn, we can't even line up right. Like, damn, we can't tackle. Like, stuff like that is like, all right, we got to clean this up. We got to handle this in practice. But when you're not physical, you can't fix that. And that ain't going to get changed until the season's over. So that's the thing about not being physical. You just don't get stout out of nowhere. And this year, we got pushed around. You know, we got ran out the gym. You know, we got out physicaled. And then another thing is that I feel as though that I would go at Kyle for his play choice, like how he was calling the games. But I had to go back and realize that he was calling around the offensive line, not through the offensive line, right? And when you notice, like, all right, what are we going to do to build in some confidence with these guys? Telling them that they're not good every play or telling them that they can't do something is not really going to get the best out of them. Even though their best isn't what I need more than their best. At least we can get their best. So I feel like a lot of the play calling that we looked at last year was Kyle realizing, like, man, we can't run out of a 12. We can't run out. You know what I'm saying? We can't run 12. We can barely run out of 11.
You know how long I've been waiting for like a jet sweep but even when we ran the jet sweep and that thing wasn't working, I was like, I don't know where we gonna go from here.
Yeah, I mean, one thing is that I was frustrated with just our best effort. Another thing that frustrated me throughout the season was that I felt as though that we went through each game with one hand tied around our back. You know, it's like if you go outside with your good clothes on and you know what I'm saying, and you know your crush is watching, you're gonna try to look cool. You're gonna try to just hit something, you're gonna try to look fly because you're shorty watching.
Right.
But when bread is on the line, bruh, I'm tying up my shoes. We playing. We about to play. And I felt like the Niners, especially Kyle, because it's top down. He was a little embarrassed about how bad they were and didn't want to be seen trying too hard, right? Like, no, we're going to run our offense. You know, we got Brock Purdy. We're going to come in here. We got a good defense. We're going to come in here and run what we need to run. And it's like, bro, why are you faking like we don't all see that Brock needs to throw the ball 20 times this game? That's it.
Right.
You need to run the ball. And it needs to be embarrassing what you've got to do to win the game. But at least we're going to win the game, right? A lot of what Kyle did this year, he didn't help himself, you know? And then you see games like the Lions game, the Bears game, where he pulls all the stops. Screens, now routes.
The game was frustrating.
Because you saw what he could have did all year.
5 weeks ago. Yeah.
The Lion game pissed me off because I'm like, oh, so now you can call a game. Okay. All right. So, you know, it was frustrating. But for what it's worth, I do believe that they're going to get the trenches set this year. If anything, the defense is going to be together because I don't think that Robert Saleh would have took the job if he didn't explicitly take ownership over the defense and say, all right, look, if I'm going to be here, then I get draft picks. Like, no ifs, ands, or buts. We got 11 picks this year. I want 4 of them. And I want the day 1 pick. Maybe give me the day 3 pick. You could pick a day 2 pick in the second round for offense, but I want rounds 1 and 3. You know, I want to go get a guy. We need to get faster. I don't know what the hell you bozos did to my defense while I was gone for 3 years, but it ain't hitting. You know what I'm saying? Right. Like, if I'm Robert Saleh, that's how I feel, right? Like, what'd you do to my defense while I was gone? So, you know, at the very least, I have faith in the defense bouncing back.
I would hope so because we gonna need it because, like, Kyle puts us in situations where we gonna need the defense. We gonna need to get bailed up by the defense. The slow start, like, it's like, bro, that's all you. If you gonna have a slow start, you can't have a slow start every week, man. Every week you want to start slow. Yeah,
but that mess didn't matter when we was ranked number 1 in the league on defense. See that, like, when we were all waiting on the off. Remember when we were very good, like 2 years ago, and the offense would start slow. And it would be like, man, we got like the 3rd drive. Like, come on, Kyle. Like, we got to score right here. We're taking too long. All of those times, defense was bailing us out, giving us the ball back. Even this year, our defense was not okay. Our defense was middle of the pack this year. However, earlier on in the season, if you remember, people were talking about Fred Warner possibly being the defensive player of the year. Like, that was like a real story for like the first 3 weeks because of what the defense was doing early in games and late in games to save us. But the offense wasn't doing right by us. They kept throwing them back on the field. They didn't have enough time to rest. And eventually, you keep throwing them out there, our depth got exposed. And once injuries start happening, it's a whole different ballgame. On top of the fact that Lord knows what you have to do to keep Devondre Campbell in at linebacker. But that was a disaster. But, you know, I believe that the defense is going to respond. They've gotten a lot of new faces over there by way of Coach Saleh and his Rolodex of coaches that he's been able to evangelize and get over here. But truthfully, the story is still on the offense. Right now, we got to see what they're going to do. Brandon, right now, the offense we don't have a left guard. We don't have a starting center. We don't have possibly a fullback when Juice gets let go. We've got a number 1 receiver that's coming off injury, and we just lost our number 2. So there's Jawan Jennings, Jacob Cowing, and Ricky Purcell. I don't know. One of the Sauls. Him.
Purcell I like, though. I feel like, you know, his situation, that was a rare situation, but I feel like once you start seeing him coming around later in the year, I think we got something there.
I was afraid for him early on. I was giving him grace because of his situation, right? I mean, if you get plugged, it is what it is. You're going to have to take a while. But my thing is that he did turn on late in the season. I just got to see if I really would like to see if he's going to stay upright, because even though he did come into that incident in the summer, his shoulder was bothering him all throughout camp. And that was what initially had him sidelined. So I got to see if he can stay healthy. That's my biggest thing with Ricky. And I think we should use Jacob Cowing more.
Definitely. I was wondering when he was going to get bubble screens or jet sweeps. I'm like, come on, Kyle, you just got to make it simple sometimes, bro. You can't
Yeah.
just reinvent the wheel here.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm very interested to see what Kyle does on this offense without Debo, without some of his toys. Moving forward, we got to see if Juice makes the cut, if he actually gets on the field. But on offense, the biggest returning guy that I want on offense is Jordan Mason. They got to get Mason back. If they don't get Jordan Mason back, then in my eyes, we're kind of right back where we left off because we're a running football team, and I don't necessarily trust Christian McCaffrey being that guy for the whole stretch. So we got to have Mason.
We definitely got to address the O-line. We need a Mike Iupati, Anthony Davis type of year in the draft, man. That's the type of year that we need, man. I would love it. On the guy from Missouri. I'm all in on that guy, man. I forgot his name. I know it's
Mimbu.
Yeah. I feel like that's Trent Williams eventually. That's his replacement. But he could go anywhere. You could plug him anywhere. That's a guy. That's a dude. You see
Armand Mimbu is a dog. I'm trying to tell you. And if we don't get Armand Mimbu, I would love Ariante Ursary. These are guys that I think could do. They're athletic, huge, big, strong guys, violent, right? Ariante is very violent. So, hopefully they get it together, bro.
And that'll definitely help with our zone. As you see, Missouri run a lot of that stretch, like a lot of that outside zone. That'll be perfect. That'll be the perfect pick for us at 11. Him, I'm out on the dude from Texas, out of there. Miss me with that guy. Yeah,
he don't move like a line. He don't move like a tackle, do he?
That college football playoff game definitely exposed a little bit right there. So him, I'm okay with the dude from Ohio State too, but it's like
he's hurt.
I know the Missouri guy's the pick.
Armand Mimbu is the pick. Yeah, if Armand Mimbu isn't there, like I said, I want the kid out of Minnesota. And if we got to go lower, I'd love Anthony Belton out of NC State. Have you seen him?
I haven't seen him yet, but I'm gonna check him out.
Yo, go look at Anthony Belton out of NC State, 6'6", 350. But watch him move. Move. He's a special kid. He's gonna have to lose he for us. I don't think we would take him because he's 350. But for us, if he lost like 15, 20 pounds, he'd be a problem.
And I feel like our offense could take another level if we get a second tight end too. Like we got to bring it back to the Harbaugh day, but we don't have to be exactly that. Give me a second tight end that can move the chains a little bit, get that run game right. But that second tight end, that's going to create problems with the defense regardless. Delaney Walker was a beast. When they took away Vernon Davis, Delaney was right there. So if we could get something later in the draft, a second tight end, obviously we're going to have to visit receiver again because we don't have enough there. We're going to have to revisit that, not early. Hopefully sometime later, we got to revisit that too.
Yo, you know who's my guy? Terrence Ferguson out of Oregon.
Okay.
Yeah, Robbie Oots. Love me some Robbie Oots too. Robbie Oots, that's my boy. I'm a Bama boy. I love me some Robbie Oots. But my boy out of Oregon, Terrence Ferguson, 6'5", 245. That's my guy. And he's underrated too. A lot of people aren't really talking about him.
Now if the dude from Missouri ain't there at 11, I would love to get Mason Graham because I'm a Michigan guy too. So I'm watching him. That dude is a problem, man.
I don't think he's gonna be there.
I don't think he's
at 11
either.
If he was there, yes. But I don't think he's gonna be there. Not at 11. At 11, by the time 11 happens, I'm gonna tell you who's gonna be gone. Walter Nolan's gonna be gone. Mason Graham is gonna be gone. Derek Harmon may be gone. Let's just give up 3 at the worst, right? But it's some dogs after that, okay? Talik Williams out of Ohio State. Go watch him. Dre Greenlaw at D tackle. Just as far as like energy on the field, like the way he go about his work.
That dude was all over the place.
Talik Williams out of O State's crazy. You know who else is nasty? Omar Norman Lott out of Tennessee.
Out of Tennessee.
6'2",
All right, I gotta watch
300
it.
guy. Watch him. Watch him. He's a dog too. I'm telling you. So it's some D linemen in here too.
Yeah, like I'm cool with the dude from Tennessee, Pierce Jr. Like I like that too.
Okay.
I'm not crazy about the Texas A. I'm not crazy about the Texas A&M guy, but if he's there,
Which
and
one?
best
Nick Scorton or
available,
Shamar Stewart?
Stewart.
Stewart. Yeah. I don't know about I like Shamar Stewart, but his numbers, he didn't do anything. He's a freak though.
Yeah.
His number, he looks the way he plays, athletic, but when you look at him play, you're like, he only had 4 sacks. Like it. I don't know about him. He played a lot.
Yeah, come on, that's SEC, dog. You can't be giving me 4 sacks in the SEC, man.
Now I'll tell you this: if Abdul Carter's going to be gone, James Pierce Jr. may be gone. I like Mike Green out of Marshall.
I've seen his tape. That's impressive.
Mike Green, nasty dog. 6'3", 251. Mike Green at 11 may be a little too rich, but
we might have to trade down for that one. But I feel like we just these first 3 or 4 rounds we gotta hit gold, man, because that's just where we at with the way our roster is looking right now.
Hell yeah. But hey, man, tap in with me for the draft, man. I will be around. We'll be here. I'm trying to get a show in with Tom for the favorite review coming up this week, man. Hey, man, call in again, Chris.
Yo, Coach, Coach, I'm with you. I've been following you. I just been sitting around. I was like, I got to tap in this time, man, because it's the offseason. This is where we got to make our money now. You know what I'm saying?
You already know. I'm going to holler at you, brother.
All right, no doubt.
Thanks for calling, man. And here he is. The man, the myth, the legend, the last guy on the show. Chunder Boy. What's good, man? What's good? Talk to me.
All right, so first of all, let's clear up this Paraag stuff. You know
Here
this is
you go with that bum-ass audio, bro. What are you doing?
I got a headset in. My audio sucks?
Yeah, your audio sucked.
All right, I will upgrade it. I promise you. This will be the last time I ever have an audio issue.
All right, go ahead, man. Do your thing.
So, a couple things that got missed. So, do y'all remember Moneyball with the Oakland A's?
Yeah,
They did all the stuff, right? That guy, even though it's a 2002 is the season that they won 20 games, what people don't know, because a lot of people watch the movie and stuff, that guy actually got hired by that team or traded for or whatever in 1999. That was not a one single offseason thing. Analytics were developing as a real thing in sports in the late 90s and into the early 2000s. Bill Walsh, who was always ahead of trends, brought in his own Peter DePodesta in Paraag Marathe.
Okay.
Now, whether or not
I like what you're doing here. I like what you're doing.
So whether or not it was specifically Bill Walsh that brought him in, but it was under Bill Walsh, so Bill Walsh brought him in. Over the next couple of years, Paraag demonstrated, that he's very good with all the numbers and stuff like that. By 2005, Bill Walsh is out, and they bring in, what's his name? McLuhan. They bring in Scott McLuhan.
Scott McLuhan.
Paraag is then elevated under Scott McLuhan and takes on more of a role, not just in doing draft analytics, but also doing salary cap analytics and doing numbers with players and contracts and analyzing contracts as well. Through McLuhan's tenure, Paraag continues to get more and more within the team. Jed York is elevating Paraag. By the time McLuhan is gone in 2009, Paraag is now one of the top guys in the organization. From 2009 all the way through until 2016, Paraag is continuing to elevate and so on and so forth, and literally is like neck and neck with he's continuing to elevate, and by the time they get to like 2016, Paraag is literally like with Trent Baalke as far as in the organization. Trent Baalke on the football, on-field stuff, and Paraag behind the scenes in the financial side. What is totally missed in that whole scenario, though, is it clearly hadn't worked with Harbaugh, and then after Harbaugh leaves, the team fell apart. It clearly wasn't working with Paraag being that involved in the football operations because he got more and more involved over the years. So if people forget or people remember, it was in January of 2017 when York was asked, "Are you going to get fired?" or whatever he was asked, and he said, "You cannot dismiss an owner. I own the team," so on and so forth. That whole thing. That was right when Shanahan was hired. Jed York was absolutely under fire from the fan base. When we hired Kyle Shanahan, he turned over the entire football operation to Kyle Shanahan. And it wasn't just Kyle Shanahan, it was also Mike Shanahan. People forget that Mike Shanahan actually had an office in the building when Kyle took over. You got mute. You're on mute, bud.
My bad. How do you think all of those coaches got here in the first place? One of the biggest things for Kyle is that he gets tons of credit for being able to put together a great coaching staff. Dude, he's got an entire career from his father building that coaching staff. So you got to kind of like check yourself on that. Go ahead.
So what we're seeing now is we're seeing the organization shift away from that. So they handed the whole thing over to Kyle. He gutted the roster. They built a championship team by 2019. That is impressive. That's hard to do. He got so much cachet in the organization. He got so much authority to kind of do. And over the next couple of years, every time Kyle said, "Pay this guy," he got paid. If Kyle stepped in the last minute and said, "I don't care what the contract is supposed to be, we're keeping this guy," he got what he wanted. Well, over the last 3 or 4 years, that has all kind of receded because none of it has worked. And what we're seeing now in the organization is a shift back away from Kyle Shanahan having that kind of power. You and I used to argue, we still argue about Kyle Shanahan, but you and I used to argue about Kyle Shanahan early on when we became friends a couple of years ago. And one of the things that I would always lean on is I'm willing to give Kyle Shanahan the benefit of the doubt, and I'm willing, because my opinion was Kyle Shanahan was just trying to do things a different way, and you kept trying to tell me, you're beating me over the head with, you can't reinvent football. There's a specific way that you win in football, and what Kyle Shanahan is doing is not it. And I kept arguing with you, and you were right. Like that, you can't reinvent the wheel. And I think what we're seeing now is a shift back to more traditional football operation, building through the trenches and so on and so forth. When your offensive philosophy as far as drafting and free agent acquisition is that skill players are more valuable than the trenches, which is what it seems to have been, that's not going to work. And now that we've seen that, it's time to get back to football basics or what have you.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let me turn you down a little bit. Yeah. So I agree. Hey, turn down the. All right, hold on. So I agree. Basically, the way that I see it is, we've done things in order to keep this offense going because Kyle. The number one thing is that I feel as though that they have thought that as long as we have a defense, we have all of the autonomy that we need on offense, right? As long as we cross our T's and dot our I's on defense, we'll be okay. And I saw them trying to do that. You saw when they first got here, the first guy that they got, they went in, they swung at Solomon Thomas early. Okay. Then they went double back. They went and got Reuben Foster, then Ahkello Witherspoon. I think that was the Joe Williams year. All right. They picked up Joe Williams. So they tried. They got DJ Jones in that year too. So they tried to be able to go after the defense first and kind of piecemeal the offense along because Kyle was supposed to be, hold on. Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you.
You can hear me talking? All right. I'm just turning you down because there's feedback. But
I just heard my audio. It should be a little better.
Okay. But my only thing is that the biggest thing right now is that for Kyle, he needs to be able to get back to traditional offense and not traditional offense in the form of process. Call your plays, do what you want. But, bro, go get an O-line. Like, enough of this. Like, prioritize the trenches. Go get an offensive line so we can at least run the ball, okay? Like, one thing about it as well is...
One at will. Sorry.
Go.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I didn't mean to cut you off. Sorry. It's important that we can run the ball when the other team knows we're going to run the ball. Not just between the 20s when the other team doesn't know what we're going to do. You got to be able to run the ball in 32 when the team knows you're running. You got to be able to run the ball in the red zone when there's no space. You got to be able to move people out of the way.
100%. That's exactly where I stand. It's like, part of football isn't necessarily tricking everybody damn near every time, right? You know what I'm saying? It's about being able to run the ball when the entire room knows that you have to run the ball right here and being able to do it anyway. There is an element of football about dominance and physicality that I feel like we've lost. So that's something else. I hate to cut you so short, Damon, but this is the feedback is wild on it's like the headset versus the phone. But
All right,
I'll fix it because I don't want to cut the call short, bro. Go ahead, talk.
Is that better?
Way better. Why didn't you take off those Temu headphones in the first place, bruh? Coming in here with them, man, trying to look cool and shit. It won't happen
again. It won't happen again. I'll get some
dog, this is way better. You over? All right, say what you need to say now. Jeez Louise. Go ahead. Fisher Price headphones.
I just think it's really important. You've been telling me this for years, and I guess what I'm finally ready to listen.
Okay.
But yeah, I think we need to get the 49ers need to get back to building a team the way good football teams are built. When you look at the teams that are dominating the league, when you look at the teams, now the problem with that is that means we need a new quarterback if that's the case. Because if you're gonna build the team in that way, it's tough. So let's go this direction.
Okay.
If you think to yourself, we did this the other day, kind of a thought experiment. If you take just the players that are under contract for next year, and you had to play a football game today, what would that look like, and how many holes are there on the team? There's at least 5 or 6 different spots where
they are flaming you. Yeah, can we just take a second?
I can't stop.
Can we take a second, bro? I know you don't hear yourself right now.
I don't.
But me and literally everybody in the chat, your voice is literally 1,000% better than what you just put us through with those damn headphones, bro. And for the life of me, I do not know why you tried to come in here with those headphones on, bro. Like,
because I left the house with the wrong ones, bro. So I just grabbed what was in my truck.
It looked like you was talking through seashells. Like, I don't know what the hell you were trying to do, bro. We might as well have had 2 Campbell soup cans and a string trying to do this shit. That was brutal, bro. I had to take time because I see the chat right now. The entire chat, they're feeling what I'm feeling right now. Like, I almost cut you off early for the chat.
I formally apologize.
The call,
the chat.
Bro, because the call was brutal, bro. Like, my dog was. Hannibal is like right next to me. Like, what the hell is that? I swear to God, Hannibal was pushing me I'm like, bro, we got to change this audio, bro. From now on, no more headphones. All right, brother.
I formally apologize. I thought it's better with headphones. I was mistaken.
Nah, it ain't. No. This is this is way better. Like right now, your phone is smacking you right now. Like, bro, don't hook me up to them damn headphones no more. I sound way better than this. Go ahead, bro. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's all good. People are getting a little bit of behind the scenes of our phone calls.
This is exactly how shit goes, bro. Like, all right, go ahead. So finish your point.
The way we have to build this team, we have so many holes. Okay. What are we trying to be this year is, I guess, the first question you have to answer. Are we trying to be a championship contender? I don't even think that's possible. There's too many holes to fill.
I don't think so.
You would have to get 2 or 3 starting level free agents and get at least 3 more guys in the draft who are high level guys right away. Like it would have to be a home run offseason like the 49ers have literally not had under Shanahan for us to be a contender.
Right.
So realistically, we could put together a viable team this year. We still have a lot of good pieces and stuff, but is it a better idea because that's kind of your ceiling for this season? Do you just reset the salary cap and take your lumps and move on? I think the key identifier would be is if they trade Aiyuk, because if they trade Aiyuk, our salary cap means that we pretty much can't sign any free agents.
It's over.
That's right. If they trade Aiyuk, well, let me rephrase that. If they trade Aiyuk before the draft, if they trade him during training camp, it's a little different because the cap changes significantly if you do it during training camp after June 1st. But so that's going to be a key identifier. If they trade Aiyuk either before or during the draft, that's a key identifier that they are in full tear down rebuild mode, and they're trying to hang on to just a few pieces to rebuild this thing quickly.
18.4 against the cap if they trade Aiyuk pre-June 1. Post-June 1, if they trade Aiyuk, they save themselves $4 million. They lose $4 million. So post-June 1 is when they would be able to do Aiyuk and eventually save us money on the cap. But you are right. $18 million off on top of the post-June 1 cut that we have to pay Eric Armstead, on top of the dead money cap hit that we took from trading Debo. Brandon Aiyuk is the signifier that they're ripping the Band-Aid off. I already think they're going to do it. There's no reason why they will put it out in the air if it wasn't true. Especially with the guy that you just signed, for that type of report to go out, it'd be irresponsible for the 49ers if there wasn't like a semblance of truth to like them wanting to trade him or being, like open to trading him. We need 5 starters on defense. We need 2 defensive tackles. All right. We need another corner. We need a free safety. And then we possibly got to get a linebacker if Dre doesn't come back. Right. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, we may have D Ford as a starter, but you're rocking out with Dre with D Ford. Right. Mm-hmm. And then on offense, we need 2 offensive linemen at least and a starting receiver. All right. On top of a running back, a backup running back in case we lose Jordan Mason. And we need a second tight end. All right. So for me, hell no. We're not going to find 9 starters in one off season. Yeah. On top of the cap that we have. I mean, we can just rip it. We could put this together very short and sweet. We could save everybody all of the shows that they're going to watch on YouTube for the next 6 months. The Niners are not going to replace 9 starters, okay, and replace this with a strong team moving forward. They're not. This year, I think that they are going to circle the wagons around the guys that they have. Fred Warner's going to be a big voice. George Kittle's going to be a big voice. Trent Williams is going to be a big voice. But what they're going to be a big voice of is they're going to be the Lord of the Flies, baby, because there's going to be a lot of young guys on our team coming up. All right, so that's where it's at. It's coming up from the draft, and good on us. We're old as hell. We're an old team, so I love where we're going.
So, okay, so let's talk about the draft for a second.
All right.
So I'm totally with you on. So if we don't draft Membu or Urseri at 11, I would like to just trade back because there's 3 or 4 guys that you can get at 11 that are probably all overpays. If you trade back to like 15, Connor Lee Jr. is probably still there because he's more of a scheme fit for us. There's a lot of teams that wouldn't even have him as a tackle and probably don't like some of his measurables. Mm-hmm. You gotta, you don't want to take a Tyler Warren at 11, but if you move back to 15 or 16, pick up some extra picks, and now you draft him, now it's not so bad. A Mike Green, right? There's some off-field concerns, so he's a guy you can probably still get at 15.
Yeah, so, not at 11.
So Membu and Urseri are probably, and Urseri's probably a guy that you can get at 15, but outside of getting one of those 2 guys, you're going to get pretty much, you're still going to get a blue chip guy at 15. So, I mean, I think this is a draft where we need to really consider trading back if we can't get Membu.
Where did 15 come from? Why are you talking about Atlanta?
I'm just throwing out a random number. That range, okay. 14 to 16. I don't want to move back too far. But we can move back 4 or 5 spots, pick up an extra day 2 pick, and still get a premier guy that helps you this year.
All right, man. I see that. I don't want to budge at 11. We're not good enough. Like, I don't want to chop off our nose to spite our face. like trading back on like, oh, we need more picks. We got 11 picks.
Just take a guy.
Right? We're not going to sign all 11 picks. Right? All 11 picks are not going to make our team. Right? If they do, that's another signifier of us having a bad team. 11 guys should not be able to make an NFL team as rookies.
Not if you're a legit team.
Not if you're a legit team. You should have 11 guys making your team. So,
the reason I like the trade back option is because it's a day 2 pick that you get, and that's where the heart and soul of this draft is. The heart and soul of this draft is the second third round. So getting a day 2 pick out of it, it gives you the player you're going to get there is going to make your team.
Okay, so shoot, who do you pick at 11 where you know that their rookie their rookie range is going to be good? So, would you pay a safety at 11?
No.
You wouldn't get a safety at 11?
No, I would only get a tackle, a wide receiver, or a corner.
You wouldn't even get a D tackle.
Well, I'm sorry. Yes, but the problem with getting a D tackle at 11 is the 2 guys that you would want to get at that range that would be worth it, and Walter Nolan and the guy out of Michigan, I don't know what.
Mason Graham.
The reason that I actually don't like those 2 for the 49ers. I don't think that they're a good scheme fit. I don't think that those guys are going to elevate our defense as much as a guy. I'd much rather get a tackle at 11, get Membu at 11, or get Ursary at 11, or get Connerly Jr. at 11. And
what about James Pierce Jr.?
I don't like him for our scheme. He's okay for our scheme, but I'd much rather go get like a Landon Jackson in the second round. I think he's a better scheme fit and better against the run.
Out of Arkansas?
Yeah. 6'6", 270, but he actually has the kind of athleticism where when you put him in a wide 9, you're not asking him to be super bendy and flexible. You're asking him to be explosive and just dominate off the edge from a wide split, and that kind of a player would be much, much better for our scheme. I think a player like Omar Norman Lott out of Tennessee that you mentioned earlier is a much better scheme fit for what we need at 6'2", 300 pounds. You know, I think he would act. I'd rather get a tackle at 11 and get a player like Omar Norman Lott or a player like Landon Jackson in the second round. That is better for our team than taking a Walter Nolan at 11. And then what offensive tackle or offensive guard, maybe you get a center in the third round, the guy out of Georgia, if he falls that far, that kind of thing. But I think that you're better suited to take a tackle high because your options on defensive line on day 2, there's not as much of a fall off. And there's some guys that are actually probably a better scheme fit that might be more productive for your team, even if though they might not be more productive overall.
I'm going to be honest with you right now. Omar Norman Lott out of Tennessee, there's no way in the world that I pick him if I had the chance in the first round to pick up Walter Nolan, Derek Harmon, or Kenneth Grant. We need some guys that actually kind of like move the needle. And you don't do that trying to bargain in the first round. I mean, we need to at least pay for getting our ass whipped all season. Get the 11th round, get the 11th overall pick. You know what I'm saying? Like, if we're at 11, if we're as good as we think we are, then we have to understand that we're in a rare position in the draft, correct?
Yeah.
Right? So, if you think that this is more of like a stopgap more than a rebuild, then what you do is you get the best player available in the rarest area of the draft. On top of the fact of, bro, we have not had a first round pick in 3 years. We just got back up here and we fucked up that pick. We couldn't even get that right. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, who are we? This is the problem with us. We get too cool for school, thinking that we are just better than the process. Who do we think we are? Last year we drafted a damn slot in the draft. That happened. And now we're talking about trading out of 11 because we think we can leverage the talent a little bit more. Man, pick a player. Pick a player. Who do you want? If Mason Graham's not there, guess who I want? I want Walter Nolan. Okay? If Walter Nolan's not there, guess who I want? I want James Pierce Jr. If James Pierce Jr. isn't there, guess who I want? I want to be able to go get a safety and get Malachi Starks. And everybody's going to say, why'd you get Malachi Starks? Because we don't have a free safety. And we picked 11th overall, and I want a player that gets on the field and we don't have to worry about him. We sign him, he gets his jersey, he smiles, he puts on his pads, and he plays. No more of this, oh, well, the guy's not ready. We got to sit him down for a year and see what he's going through. What happens is that they're grooming us inch by inch by inch, where it gets to the point now where, you know what the commentary that was around, kind of like the cope language that was around the drafts was, well, with the Niners, if you're not ready to play right away because we're so good, if you can't contribute right away, you got to sit down as a rookie. And that's just the long and short of it, because the Niners are so good. And all that shit was an excuse for the fact that our asses wasn't taking first-round picks. We screwed the pooch with Trey Lance, and we didn't have good enough players to play. It wasn't that they weren't good enough because what we had on the team we're just some freak of a starting football team. No. What happened was that the guys that they brought in there weren't first-round picks. And they missed on guys. Drake Jackson. And we went ahead and drafted guys in the third round that shouldn't have been drafted. Jake Moody. And we traded up for guys that we don't even use the right way. Isaac Garindo. So, look. My thing is that before we start trying to build our best laid plans, how about we try normal first? Let's just be normal. Let's just go to the first round, find the best guy that we need for a position, and pick him. Just go get a stud. Go get one. Because you know why? All we got now are old studs. Pause. That sounded really weird. But that's all we got now. Okay? Is we got old studs running around here. All right? And the issue with that is that we haven't brought in the competition to the point where if you keep paying these guys, propping them up as if we'll never, it's not the fact that we have a good tight end. We got George Kittle. It's not the fact that we have a very good left tackle. We got Trent Williams, right? We're deifying these dudes, and they're football players that are going to get old, and they're not going to be as good as we think they are. So it's important for us not to do that, because you know what the problem is? When you do that, it's not like George is going to say, guys, I feel uncomfortable. I'm just a tight end. Trent Williams isn't going to say, hey, guys, to be honest, I kind of didn't have the season. No, they're going to take that shit hook, line, and sinker, and then you're going to have these guys talking about, I deserve to be the highest paid running back in the league. Well, I'm already the highest paid running back in the league. Then you're going to get Trent Williams saying, I want guaranteed money now. Well, you just ran out of guaranteed money. Then you're going to have Brandon Aiyuk saying, you know what? Was I the drama? Was it me? Was I the one who was kind of being irresponsible and just unconsolable during the summer? They built these guys. They fostered this type of attitude in here, okay? We need to get back to getting guys in here who get paid for doing their job and going home, not waiting for their next soundbite to be fawned over by us in the media. That's another shift that needs to happen. These guys need to be football players, not rock stars. They ain't the Backstreet Boys. They play football.
Do you think that Walter Nolan is a scheme fit?
Yes.
Okay. Would you prefer a tackle over a defensive tackle? An offensive tackle over a defensive tackle?
No, I don't care, because we need both of them. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
You see how I go right back to it? We need both, so either one, I don't care.
Okay.
We need a tackle, let's go get a tackle. We need a D tackle, let's go get a D tackle. We need an edge, go get an edge. All right? That's what we need. That's why I floated the Ted McMillan conversation a couple of days ago. I know that Ted McMillan sounds like, yo, why are you trying to pick a receiver? We just picked a receiver last year. We don't have a number one. We don't. All right? And we saw what the offense is going to look like. And I got pushed back. Well, the number one receiver on our team is George Kittle. All right. Okay. Here we go again with the being the smartest guy in the room shit. Because we're special. We got George. So we're going to walk in. We're going to show up week in and week out with George Kittle as our number one guy. Stop. Go get a receiver. Stop. Stop it. So, look, you see what the Eagles did? They doubled down, man. They paid their quarterback. They went and got their guys. They paid who they needed to pay. And the biggest thing that they did is they floated in the biggest offensive line in Super Bowl history. Motherfuckers look like Barnum and Bailey's circus. They look like a bunch of elephants walking on the field.
Yeah.
That's what I want. Go get the trenches, bro.
Defensive line, too. Their defensive line is bigger than their offensive line.
Come on, man. So that's what we need, man.
So I'm concerned. The 49ers don't draft defensive line or wide receiver well. That we've drafted more defensive line and more wide receivers than anybody. We still need wide receivers and defensive line. We've been drafting defensive line and offensive. We've been drafting wide receivers and defensive line high every year for 7 years, and we still need two defensive linemen, and we still need a wide receiver. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if I trust them to draft a guy at 11.
I do. They got to do it. There's guys here. Go draft somebody. Get out of my face. Go draft somebody.
You do agree though that they've been terrible at drafting those two positions high.
What, receiver and D-line?
Yeah, I mean, they've drafted 11 wide receivers, and we still don't have a number one wide receiver. And they've drafted multiple receivers in the first and second round. And at defensive line, outside of Nick Bosa, who you can do blindfolded, they've missed over and over again. Not just with first round picks, but like Drake Jackson wasn't a first round pick, but he was our first pick in the draft.
Yeah, what year did Drake Jackson get drafted? 2022.
3 years ago, be 2022.
22. Yeah. Look, bro, we got a first round pick. We need to go out and not get guys that are specific for the scheme. I just want to go get freaks.
Go get a stud, yeah.
Go get a stud. I don't care about
really what I've been saying since the beginning. I don't care who you draft.
The petty slander. Danny Gray could never. Danny Gray is rolling over in his grave after what you just said about us drafting good or bad receivers. How dare you, Damon? How dare you?
Well, then why isn't he on the team?
Right?
Okay, fine. Well, then why isn't he on the team? I just don't think – I think that we don't do a very good job evaluating those positions. And, you know, I'm totally with you. This is what I've been saying, I guess, for like over a month now is I really don't even – honestly, I don't care who they draft in the first round. So do I want to see them draft a safety? No. I'd rather see them draft a tackle or an offensive lineman. But if I have to choose a stud safety or a mid lineman, give me a stud safety.
Give me a stud safety. Thank you.
Just draft this is the last thing I'll say about it. At 11, for God's sake, just draft a stud. I don't give a shit what position he plays.
Yeah, that's all. I want them to go get draft studs. Like when I coached, you know, my short little piece of shit career, when I coached, we weren't good. Okay, like we weren't like a powerhouse team. All right, we were good when I was there, but we weren't like a perennial winner. And when you recruit at a D2 level, okay, that I coached at, you ain't, man, I wish you would come into the coach's office talk about I don't want this guy because he's not a fit. And he'd be like a 3-star and we D2. Motherfucker, you better get your ass out there and recruit him. Talk about he not a fit.
Coach his ass.
Who are you to say he not a fit? Who the hell are you, Bill Walsh? Make him a fit. Are you crazy? That's my biggest issue with the coaching staff. That's what I love now. I pray to God this is happening with the organization now. Where not only have Jed and Paraag taken over the money, but they've also allowed the scouting department to do their job where they go to Kyle and they say, no, make it work, bro. No, because we did this. We let you gaslight us into thinking that a kid that played 3 football games was going to be your next quarterback. You gaslit us into Jalen Hurd. You gaslit us into Dante Pettis. You gaslit us into Ronaldo. You gaslit us into Ricky Pearsall if he makes anything of himself. Like, you have done all of these things where if you think about it, down the line, we have all scratched our heads about these moves. But the only thing that has made this shit move forward is Kyle's a genius, man. Like, Kyle's final say. So, you can't argue with winning. And they're winning. So if they make it happen, they make it happen. But the facts is that as far as drafting is concerned, he has lost the conch. All right. Like, you don't get a voice anymore. You can delineate, you can suggest, right? You can make strong suggestions, but as far as getting the best in here, look at what the Eagles did, man. Year after year after year. All right? It is time for us to do the same thing. I want us to go get studs. We don't even look impressive as a football team. We need to go get studs. And now you're frozen. Look, Chunder Boy's frozen, and it's time for the last caller of the show. He's my cousin, okay? I call him Ven. This is my guy. What's good, cousin Ven?
Can you hear me all right?
I got you, brother. Talk to me.
How's it going, Coach? Hey, real quick, man. Really enjoy the content. Get that out of the way.
Thank you, bro.
Saw you through Grant, all that fun shit. Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
So one thing that was on my mind was listening the other day, and you sort of mentioned that you kind of view Purdy as a bridge quarterback.
Bridge quarterback.
And, I mean, you're probably not wrong, but my point is, though, my thought is, where does that leave us? Because if he's a bridge quarterback and we're in a regime that's in year 9, I mean, are we just bridging to the next regime and just hoping they strike gold? It just seems like we're kind of, to say that we're at a crossroads, I think is accurate, but I don't know. It just seems like he kind of has to be it. If he's not
right.
the dude, then
it's all blown up.
Cooked, George ain't getting any younger. Fred's not getting any younger. And Trent's on his way out already. So, if he ain't it, then, this would have been the year to blow it all up. Last year would have been the year to blow it all up. So we got this cakewalk schedule now, but
yeah. Well, the schedule is going to keep us in the fight. I think he's a bridge quarterback because I don't see the consistency. Right now, the Niners are showing it right now. They're already starting negotiations. If it's true, the negotiations are starting out at $45 million a year, which lets you know that he is a bridge. They're not trying to keep him for any more than 3 years. They're not going to sign him for 5 years. I don't even think he would take that deal. So sometimes the money kind of constitutes the duration, the length of the contract. So if they're offering him lower money, then you would have to think that they're offering him less years to try to smooth the deal over. Because truthfully, one thing that you have to look at, it's good to scope an issue, to know you're far left and you're far right, right? Because certain things that people do can signify hey, this doesn't even fit in the scope within the issue. So one thing we got to look at is that we're looking at 3 years with Brock Purdy. We're looking at the last year of his deal, okay? Then we're looking at 2 franchise years that the Niners could possibly do with Brock. All right? So at the very worst, by the time Brock walks out of here not paid, it's going to take 3 seasons. Within those 3 seasons, I think the Niners are trying to pay him amicably with saying, Brock, I don't want to tell you this, but we're prepared to franchise you 2 years in a row past this year unless you show us remarkable improvement over what we've seen. If you can't do that, you're not going to get paid and you're going to go into the free market and then you're on your own. So I think that's what the Niners are saying to Brock, but they're saying it with money. They're saying, hey, take this 45. And, I don't want 45. Well, you'll do it for 3 years, wouldn't you? In a way.
They love smoke for 3-4 years. They love you. They love you. And then kind of when you got to open up the wallet, it's like, love is such a
that's
strong
exactly
word.
what it is.
It's like you got a girlfriend and I love you so much. And she just goes, and you're like, yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's like, bro, you get a girl. She loves you. You've been with her 1 year, 2 years. You're like, man, 2 years is kind of cool. Move in together. She's kind of inching away.
Matching pajamas.
Yeah, matching pajamas. You know what I'm saying? Bend over each other's houses. Friends, families know each other. Then out of nowhere, she's just like, yeah, so when are you two going to get married? It's like, well,
Well, I got to finish school. There's so many things.
Yeah. Oh my God. Well, there's so much to do. I mean, number one, I haven't been to Paris. That's one.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you, man, the Niners do a really good job at galvanizing themselves around their players when it's full steam ahead, as they should. But I gotta say, I'm proud of Jed. I didn't think Jed had it in him. I didn't think he had it in him.
Is it mom and dad saying like, "All right, son, you
Oh, even though
like
he's primary owner, you still think they would come in?
My thing is like, look, he probably is in charge. He probably gets a sign off on most everything. But like with a year like last year, when they spent the money that they did and got the result they did, that's going to get attention, right? I mean, like for instance, if I'm at my house and my dad sees me roll up in a Ferrari, he's going to be like, "What are you doing? How did you get this? What are you talking about? Like, you shouldn't even be in this. You should return it to the lot because I know you're test driving it. Like, stop it."
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a bad analogy, but my point is though, it's like, I'm going to work in a normal place. You can't afford these type of things. And frankly too, you signed him. We should have seen the writing on the wall last year. Like, what team is going to sign its own players and get better? Like,
yeah,
that just never made sense to me. I mean, you could look back and just see so many things you just really got to question. Like, I mean, you got to go far back as like Solomon Thomas and not signing Buckner. I mean, there's a laundry list of sins that this regime has committed and somehow gotten away with it. I mean, maybe that is a testament to Kyle's genius. But
you know what saved us? I have something. I'm sorry for jutting in, but I have something.
No.
I think what saved us, if you think about it, the first 2 years, we were struggling. All right. I don't care what you say. 2019 came out of nowhere. Okay. That was what's so good about the fact that we were so good is that it was a surprising year. I didn't take us winning 8 games in a row and going to the Super Bowl. Right. That was a hell of a year, 2019.
I was cautiously optimistic. I had been hearing from others who were a bit more knowledgeable than me, like, yeah, I think the Niners go to the Super Bowl. And I was like, well, I got this new guy, Bosa. I got a real bookend. Like, all right, I can see it, right?
We'll see. Right.
The fan of me wants to believe that anyway. So, like,
yes.
Yeah, okay, cool. Preach.
But what saved us was COVID. That's what saved us. COVID saved us. And the reason why is because we were coming up on this situation 3 years ago with COVID. But what happened is that we lost all of these players. I want to go back to that year too. Let's go to free agency. I'm going there now. And what year was that? That was 2019. We had about 22 free agents that year. But what happened is that the cap, we were all going to lose them. It was over. Like, we were going to go to the Super Bowl that year and pretty much have the same year that we're having now that year in 2020. What ended up happening is that the cap didn't go up that year. And all of those players that we had lost that were going out looking for deals, they ended up just coming right back for 1-year deals and 2-year deals because there was no market and because the cap didn't go up. So nobody had anything to spend. And we ended up keeping on and holding on to a team far longer than we should have. That COVID year helped us out tremendously, being able to kick the can right now because we have tons of void year contracts right now because of that year. And the Niners, even though that year would have been the year to get us, we still kept extending players like year after year after year. So I believe that really they could have did the same thing this year, quite honestly. But it's the fact that now the players, as far as like kick the can, but the players, they're older. You can't suffice the contracts now because they're not even playing, let alone playing bad. They're not even playing. Yeah.
I mean, hindsight being what it is, right? Last year would have been the year to blow it up, right? I mean, they were already restructuring Debo, so I mean, might as well just let him walk at that point, right? They had a chance to trade Aiyuk, and I mean, at the time, like, yeah, it's easy to say now, right? What we know, they shouldn't have signed him. But like, I kind of soured on him after the whole, hold in thing, which is just like, I get
Yeah.
it,
And
this is lifetime money. Like, I can't sit here and pretend I wouldn't do the exact same thing if it meant millions of dollars, right? At the same time, though, as a fan, it's just like, well, then, just fucking kick rods, do what you got to do. Get out of here, though. Like, it's just so unnecessary. It's unnecessary.
I'm gonna be honest. I think what was annoying about the BA thing is that we felt like he was having a good time with it. It really annoyed me. It felt like it felt like he was playing with this.
Going on TV.
Yeah, it didn't seem like it was a serious life-changing event. It felt like he was trying to capitalize and not only get paid but up his cachet too. I felt like it was like he was really taking his 15 minutes.
Yeah, taking that walk around, that extra lap.
Yeah, he took that extra lap.
If they really wanted him, why'd they wait so long? I mean, I could be wrong, but couldn't they have signed him the year prior? I mean, if you get the 5th-year option, I think he'd be on his 3. I mean, I don't know. In my mind, I thought you want to sign players sooner than later, and it seemed like they waited longer than they should have.
Yeah.
If they actually wanted him, though, and it seems like now they don't actually want him. They clearly have buyer's remorse, so it's just like, which is it, right? You got one camp who says, I can't live without this guy, Kyle. And then the money people are just like, well, why are we paying wide receivers, right? Like,
yeah, I think that, and I think that
divided against itself.
The answer is in your question, though. I believe that that's truly what it is. I think that the worth of these players has been inflated because of Kyle's reliance on them. And I understand that some of these guys, the reliance should be on your play, not the relationship. How comfortable you feel with these guys running your scheme. I think that got in the way. And, we could have been served better if BA would have got traded this year. If Kyle would have let that happen. We would have been served better if we'd have moved on from Debo instead of signing those years. I mean, I think we would have helped ourselves out. And then in certain instances, you could see if you just watch the game from a granular level, I'm not like Einstein or anything, but from a standpoint of 14 targets in the Super Bowl, you're clearly trying to prove the reason why Debo is your guy. Like, come on, bro. Like, that's when shit like that's when it's like, this isn't cool. Because, during the most important times, this is what we got to live with, And then a lot of, like I mentioned before, a lot of BA's contention with the organization was emblematic of that Super Bowl game. It's like, dude, I work harder than this dude. I'm clearly a better receiver than this dude. And you put together an entire game plan for this cat. You barely give me the ball, and then now you got a nerve to tell me in my face why I'm not good enough? BA had a leg to stand on.
Another one on the list, the sins of the Niners.
Yeah.
My thing, too, is excuse me, I'm lost my train of thought. Anyway.
Take your time.
Fuck it. Draft
real
real quick.
All right, let's go.
I don't know any of the players, right? I just look at the rankings, player rankings. There's a million people who know better than I and rank these players, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is there any reason at 11 not to go best player available ever, right? Like, I mean, if you're in 29, 30, that range, like the year before, okay. But like this year, when we need, more things than we don't, why not just go best player available? If it's that tight end, fuck it, get him. Like,
the only reason why I agree with you because the tight end is the best player available.
I mean, okay, look, like tight end maybe is a luxury pick, but at the same time, dude's a baller. Like, if Shanahan is as good as he is, which I'm pretty sure he is, right? Run some 2 tight end sets, let Juice go, like put some fucking good dudes on the field. Like, yeah, okay, you can make a case like George being your number 1 receiver ain't the best idea, but I mean, hell, Gronkowski was Brady's number 1 receiver. Now, I know George ain't Rob Gronkowski, but you could see how, he's Gronkowski light. I mean, fuck. Man. I don't see the huge issue with having your tight end be number 1, especially if you got a good tight end too, who could actually block on the right end and free up George to, not play right tackle 2, basically. Right? I mean, I don't, and that's even if the tight end is the, number 1 pick or the best guy available. I mean, to me, like, it doesn't matter the position. You get the best possible dude because
We
everyone's
got-
going to run some quarterback who doesn't really.
That's what I'm saying. There's all right. So we know that Vegas just got a quarterback. Okay, Vegas just picked up Geno. All right. We also know that there's Shador. There's Shador and Cam. All right. Right now, bro, there's so many other guys that are still out there, man. You know, Abdul Carter is going to get picked up. Shador Sanders is going to get picked up. Travis Hunter's gone. Mason Graham is gone. All right. But
More probably gone.
yeah, Cam Ward's going to be gone. Ted McMillan is going to be gone. Ashton Genty is going to be gone. Right. Will Campbell may be gone. All right, cool. If all of those guys are gone, Walter Nolan is still there.
Good enough for me. Good enough
That's
for me.
good enough for me. Hang it up. Walter Nolan, let's go home. I
Don't
turn
make
off
it
the
more
stream
complicated
immediately.
than it is. Yeah. 100%.
You don't got, thank you. You don't have to make it more complicated than it is. It's like, oh, well, if Walter Nolan's gone, hey, James Pierce Jr. is right there. You know, oh man, Travis Hunter's gone. While we're looking at all these guys, we need a corner. Hey, Will Johnson, right out of Michigan, standing right there. Jahadi Barron, one of the most versatile DBs in this draft. He's right there. Like we can go get these guys.
Badass corner, right? Badass DB. Like
Yeah.
You could play just 3 straight up, right? Corner, single high safety, and just stack the box every play. Like, you know, you could trust these guys to win on one-on-one. I trust Green. I trust Lenore. Like,
Yeah. I'm not mad at it. And if you're going to trade down, trade down to go get the best, right? If they trade down, go get Malachi Starks. Go get the best safety in the draft, right?
Okay.
If you're going to trade down, then go get Tyler Warren, and I'll get it. You traded down, you got more, whatever. But
that would
I
be
don't.
so arrogant, though. It would be
It
so
would,
arrogant.
because he's not going to be there. I don't trust. You know what? You just got me together. Just pick the guy at 11.
Yeah.
I don't want us to get cute. You know, we got good.
I'll trade down. Yeah, it'd probably be there in a few picks. Why not, right? And someone just takes them right under your league. Like,
Come on, man. Right now, we can get tons of worth. Then
Like
you get guys like you got Jahad Campbell. I mean, right? This year is a bad year for linebackers, right? But you can get a lot of worth with the guys in the mid-round picks for linebackers. But Armand Membu's there. Josh Connerly is there. I think he's a dog out of Oregon. He's still
I don't know
there.
any of the linebackers, but I mean, none of them are Patrick Willis, right? So,
Nobody.
Linebacker, I think I'm pretty comfortable waiting a couple rounds, second, third, whatever. Like,
Yeah, there's, in my opinion, there's only
bullshit.
one. There's one day one linebacker in this year's draft, and that's Jahad Campbell out of Bama. Everybody else is pretty much day two.
Is he the 11th best dude?
Hell no.
He is? Yeah, okay. That's all I got to hear. That's all I got.
Yeah, hell no. I would be shocked.
I kind
picked that
of remembered the thing I was going to say. It's
Go ahead.
kind of on a tangent, but I think a reason Shanahan does the thing he does with offenses, right? Particularly with sort of just getting guys on the offensive line. I think it's partially because, one, he's paying all these other dudes, right? He's paying all these other dudes. So, you're paying Aiyuk, you're paying Brandon, whatever, or Debo. You're paying Kyle Juszczyk. Like, your money's kind of tied up. But the other big thing, I think, is that you don't get as much credit. He has to kind of prove himself. This is just my conjecture.
Okay.
I'm not a psychologist.
I'm gonna hear you out. Go ahead, do your thing.
I suspect that, his name Shanahan has opened a lot of doors. But at the same time, it also, sort of puts this thing on him. Like, I was watching a documentary years ago, Robert Downey Jr. In those circles, he was always introduced as Bob Downey's kid, right? His dad, because his dad is a famous actor, right? So
Okay.
I still think in the upper echelon of coaching football circles, right? He's still Mike's kid. He
Mike's
may
kid.
have gone to Super Bowls and all that stuff, but he doesn't have the hardware to
He's
show
not
for
his
it.
own man yet.
There you go. And, he has to do these little things like, well, I did it without having the best offensive line. I did it with, whatever, right? Like, it just seems like he ignores conventional advice because it would be conventional. You don't get credit for doing what makes sense. You get credit for being innovative, right? And he's
Avant-garde. Yeah.
yeah, guard. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like it kind of breaks down in these biggest games, right? It broke down in the Rams a few years back. It broke down in both Super Bowls, right? Like when push comes to shove, like it's the old adage, right? It's more about the Jims and Joes than the X's and O's. And each time you're betting on X's and O's, and then the X's and O's just break down. They just do, And I mean, even in both years, right? Like I can make the case the Niners are a better team against both those Chiefs teams. I still find it surprising Patrick Mahomes got a MVP that first time around. That I think Damian Williams, the running back,
Damian Williams went off
130 and 2 touchdowns. Like that's the MVP. You can throw 2 picks in that bowl.
The grift was in.
Yeah. Come on. Like I was a little suspicious of that, but okay, like it's a little conspiratorial, right? But who do you want to see in Disneyland?
But I want to piggyback on what you brought up about Kyle being his own man. If you think about it, Mike got his notoriety from breaking the norms, right? With creating the wide zone and coming into it with Alex Gibbs and Coach Taylor. And if you are Kyle, if we're just going, you've really touched on something, then is because if you are Kyle and you're going, and that is what matters to you by being innovative or being, cutting edge, then avant-garde, then the traditional way isn't even what everybody else is doing. The traditional way is a carbon copy of what your father did. So that's even more so of like the traditional scenario of where I do feel like that. I think that you coined it far better than I could have, but you do feel this obsession with the road less traveled with Kyle, where it's like, I have to, like, running the ball right here is it's not the fact that running the ball is what I'm supposed to do. It's what everybody thinks I should do. And I'm not going to do. Yeah. I've noticed that he's very aware of he's too aware, honestly, of what his decisions or how his decisions are going to affect those around him. Almost to the point where being the guy or having the opportunity of having success or reaching your goals isn't enough for Kyle. It's how he obtains his goal is what matters to him, because reaching the goal is a foregone conclusion. I need to look a certain way, and that is a problem.
That is a problem. And the other thing, too, is just like it's kind of ridiculous because, no one gives the Eagles any crap for just having the baddest offense and defensive lines. Like,
right.
They get credit for that. No one faults, the Brady Patriots for just having a badass quarterback and, some good weapons.
Yeah.
A solid team, right? Like, no,
they get praised.
You get credit. It still counts. And A is an A. It doesn't matter how you get there, right? As long as you pass it. I don't know. To me, though, it's just like
that makes a lot of sense, man. Where it's like even the ego of like when we speak to him in public or the press conferences where he purposely says things where you feel like you're going out of your way to be a dick, bro. Like you're like, come on, bro. Have you ever felt that? Like you're watching Kyle and it's like you're going out of your way. Like, dude, just answer him. Why'd you have to respond that way?
If you want to be short, I get it. But like, you're just like, you're throwing in these little jabs. Like,
like, what was that about? I agree.
I can imagine being a press guy and just hearing that and be like, oh, okay, I guess.
Well, that was awkward.
Yeah. I hear about what they ask in places like New York and the East Coast. Like the press they don't pull any punches. They ask you, oh, why are you guys shitty this year, basically? And they,
bro,
they have the answer. What are you going to do?
Dog, anyway, the press.
Coach, I got to get going. Wife and kids.
Hey.
But it's great talking to you, man. I appreciate it. And maybe I could be back.
Dude, call me back, please, man. It was a great call.
I appreciate it. Likewise. I enjoyed it too, man.
Good talk to you, man. All right, brother. All right. Hey, that was a hell of a call from my boy Vin, man. That's my guy. Killing it. You know what I'm saying? Guys, we're back in the swing of things. More draft prepped, more stories on the Niners that are going to come out, I'm sure, between here and the draft. Free agency is coming up. We got to look out for the trade or the impending trade of Brandon Aiyuk. We got to see if we're going to sign Dre Greenlaw. When is Kyle Juszczyk finally going to get cut? Yes, I didn't say if. I said when. And how we're going to move forward. Guys, this was another great show. And I'd just like to tell you guys that this... Hold on, let me just make sure. Here we go. Frisco Shields, sent you a quote. Paraag overriding Walsh draft picks. Let me get this out the way. Frisco Shields has been sending me proof of all of the commentary that we talked about during his call. I will look over that and I will post that stuff. I will post all of this stuff, especially on the next call-in show, and I will have Frisco up here. I do not want Shields to feel like we was up here calling him a liar. That's not what we were saying. It was just news to us. It was news to us. But for the record, Frisco is sending me those articles, so I have to read through them. And he's pointing out quotes as well. Hey, Coach, is music on in the background, Travis? I put that up before. You know that I have PTSD because of that. Don't text me that. I will check all the time. Too much sauce, $2. You envision a bright 49er future for Jake Tungus? No, I do not. And Leon Sandcastle, UC Bama tight end, Robbie Oots, phenomenal blocker. Robbie Oots is my dog. I love me some Robbie Oots. Guys, it has been a real one. This is the coach signing off. Stay low and keep your feet moving. Show coming up later, guys. Tomorrow.